Canada is a country. Waves of people came to this country, were welcomed by the folks who have lived here for millennia, the First Nation. And built this society with waves of people fleeing religious persecution, fleeing tyranny, fleeing to try and build a better life for themselves here than they had back home. Whether it's folks fleeing from world wars or fleeing from civil wars, these people always want the same thing: to be able to live in peace, to raise their families, to create a better future for themselves and their communities. And that is what generations created this extraordinary diverse society we have. Now, Canada remains one of the only countries in the world where citizens are, by and large, positively inclined. And one of the reasons we are that way is because Canadians have confidence in our
I love that song. It just feels good. It's like this weird, like it overwhelms me in a way. Welcome to MK Canada. I don't know if you guys knew, but this is a crazy week in Canada. Right now, they're trying to replace Canada in the world of sports and hockey. Jordan, did you see this? You saw the thing about, let me see if I can pull this up. This is crazy. So starting with hockey, because I think that's lowest common denominator of reality. Hockey Women's Nations Cup 2022. Chile replaces Canada in the inaugural event. Melissa, Vince, what do you guys think about hockey, Canada? And do you even care? Like, do you even care if Canada is remembered as the hockey country, like as a stereotypical prejudice anyway? Or is this a bigger deal?
Well, I've never really cared about hockey. You know, it's one of those things that just people would, I guess, connect with each other over, and I just never really found the appeal. I mean, everyone around me is completely obsessed with hockey. My dad's obsessed with hockey. My brother's obsessed with hockey, and I never got into it. Like, I would see them be angry at it most of the time, and I guess that just never made me feel happiness. So it was like, bother watching this.
Dude, hockey's expensive too.
Important.
Yeah, it really is. But I think that a lot of people, you know, have an experience of sports that is, it's like everyone gets in it because there's a communal aspect, and then so they feel like they can connect with each other better. And like, I respect that, you know, like people can like whatever they like and they can connect with whatever they want, but it ultimately feels like I don't know, one of those ways that they control our emotions and
totally
make us care about certain things that just really don't matter that much, but we make like the biggest deal. Like, it becomes part of our identity to the point of like being angry about it, even if we win sometimes. I don't never care.
Dude, so that's kind of leads me to what I was going to say about it, was aggression in sports and immigrants. So this idea that there are immigrants who are aggressive, right? And that maybe because they've come from a country that the United States or somebody else has put through a war-torn trauma, post-traumatic stress back, who knows? It could also be their own culture. I'm not even there to judge on that level, but a lot of the time Buddhists don't come with aggression until they go through the Vietnam War. So my point being, then you come to Canada because you can't get in a lot of the time to San Pedro or Santa Monica. So you go to Canada, and then what do they do in Canada? They put you into like this violent sport where you can lose your teeth in the ice in the cold, and everyone has to, it seems like it replaces war, right? Is that fair? Or what do you think about that? And what do you think
that's a really good analogy for America's football obsession more than Canada's hockey obsession. I don't know.
Okay, and what's the difference?
Is like so peaceful. When like when I was a child, it was always on, and it's just like that cha 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 cha, and that ultra like Abu kind of guys narrating it, and then you just fall asleep. Like, it's so nice. And then in your teens, then you have something to rally behind. Like I was a big Colorado Avalanche fan when I was in high school.
Me too.
Right? Because they were the Quebec Nordiques before. So there was a whole lore behind the team, and it was like they were the best Canadian hockey team, and they got sold, and it was awesome.
Patrick Roy.
Yeah, Patrick was my favorite, and then like all the guys. So anyway, still remember all that. And then of course I understood that sports was rigged after a certain point in my life, and only really care about soccer now, here and there. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'll die for that.
So,
I'll embarrass myself for that.
I'll entertain your idea, Andreas.
The players definitely embarrass themselves enough.
So many. It was a Clockwork Orange that just flashed before my eyes. I was like, okay, wait. Nordique. I got to process it because I don't have the RAM in my brain. It's actually like the deep state drive in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, the Nordique.
Hi, Bernie.
And don't you think about that? Hey, Bernie made it. What's up, Bernie? Good to see you. What do you think about this friggin' elephant that is the Nordique? Cool. Right? What's going on? It's a great gestalt.
It's elephant. I love it. Nice.
I mean, that's as a child. That's
I grew up always thinking like, what the heck is that freaking thing? And then it's like, okay, well, it's a puck and a stick, but
it's a face off.
Is
it Republican, to be honest?
Right. I see the goalie post. I do, but I also see a helmet.
It's blue and red, so you know.
No, this is
and white. There's a lot of white in there.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of, and you can see because if there's a way to
look at the team. Look at the team's pictures on the ice. Like, how can you not love these guys?
Let me see here. They do look. Oh, that is just
legends.
Great.
Joe Sakic, my boy.
Legends.
Okay, so that's an important point. So
Forsberg.
I don't want to take away from. I don't want to take away from your point that it's a graceful thing too. But I wanted to type in like hockey goons, because when
I was obsessed, and I loved
because this is less graceful. This is less
sweet. Greasy.
That's as graceful as you get with Canadian.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
this is hosing, I think.
Yeah,
dude, have you seen Slapshot, Andreas?
Oh, I love Slapshot.
Yeah, I love that.
Newman?
That's that movie.
Classic.
Slapshot,
the
greatest movie ever made,
against the
or
puck,
one of the best.
Goes and put my arm up, and the face off.
So good,
dude.
Face off, eh?
And the brothers with their trucks, they bring like a suitcase full of trucks to play with on the trip.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
their fucking toys with them.
Jordan,
I think
you remind me of one of the brothers. I never thought about that, but yeah, you can totally.
Buddy, let's calm it down here.
Right, it's all blend. It's all making sense.
I can totally. I'm a deep fake you in here. All right, but here's the thing.
Buddy, you're Paul Newman, buddy.
I'd love to be the hockey player instead of Paul Newman. Paul Newman terrifies me. He's an amazing man.
Newman. You guys can be whoever the hell you want to be, but I'm Paul Newman.
He is a hero. Like Paul Newman, Paul Newman's
he's a legend. This guy's
Newman's own. Well, because he has this non-profit.
Buddy, Cool Hand Luke. He's
given all of this organic food profits to charity for veterans. That is the most basic.
Man, I don't know if you knew that. He's gone.
It's true. But like, imagine that. Gone. That's like a Santa Claus move for the rest of time. If you ever help veterans with organic vegetables, that's going to be like a Paul Newman. He's going to come once a year. He also
started the Actors Guild, or some kind of Actors Guild, or some kind of union for actors and directors to be able to make more independent work. Yeah, he started.
I remember spaghetti sauce.
Probably banged Margaret Trudeau too.
Dude, yeah, he
classy
did some crazy
guy.
stuff.
He had a lovely wife, and he was really just classy.
There you go, hustler days. Those are the hustler days.
Definitely involved with the DNC and with some of the underbellies of the Democratic Party. There's some interesting stuff about that guy. But wait,
deep dive.
I wanted to hear the Vince thoughts on immigration, though, on hockey first.
Oh yeah.
Well,
back to hockey, right?
Yeah, I'm still here. I haven't left.
Hockey and riots, eh?
And Forsberg. Don't forget Forsberg.
It was a utilized force, but really the riots had something to do with economics. Like people's strain on the people, right? Like in the place.
So is this?
I can admit that I was actually in Montreal and part of those riots.
That's right.
That's boy Bernie.
And it's part of it is the strain of the economics. So when there was the one that was, everyone was like, what a shame. Oh my God. The one that was more recent.
Vancouver?
I think it was in Vancouver after the Canadian loss.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was in memorial of the one that happened in the 90s that everyone remembers, who's a Vancouverite. And like, or
In
from
memor-
the area, you know, everyone
Memorial
remembers
riot.
our uncle's
Memorial
party. Like our
riots.
uncles fought, you know, in that riot, you know, and then anyway, there
They
was a
fought in that
purpose
riot.
to it.
I
And
was
like,
in that riot. I swear
this was
to
also,
God.
Oh, he's
right?
right there. He's right there.
I
there
got
was a
burned
housing
by a
right there.
firefighter.
so there was people rioting, but on top of that, there was actually housing activists that were pissed off because we were getting the Olympics. The whole city was gentrifying. Everyone was losing their housing. Everyone was getting pushed out. There was a lot of like this weird economic surge of like, look at all these fancy stores, look at all this stuff. And it was like, no one could afford it. There was less venues, like there was less people's stuff, you know, the people who actually are from there and actually living. So there was actually like protests that were legitimate that were happening and that
Right.
were, you know, they took advantage of the moment, you know, and then all those
There's more
people
foot
got
traffic.
caught
This is a
because
great
people
painting.
took
I want this
photos,
painting.
and then everyone's photo was captured, and then they were all arrested, and they were all given like
Melissa,
special time.
Melissa, I
Easy
can,
with the fan there. Bucky.
I can hear your fan, you know, lady.
It's so hot. I can't...
Open a
We're
window.
not a fan of that
Can you
fan
hear-
there.
can-
What does it sound like?
It was
Can you hear
snowing
this?
here today.
Can you hear the video
Sorry, guys.
playing?
I'm just pissed off.
No, we can't.
Oh, it's
But
so
you know, I
much
think this
better.
is all part of the.
Are you hearing that?
Oh, my name.
Yeah, now we hear it.
Restart.
All right. I have
There are a bunch of hockey fans.
There's
in the
Bernie.
car.
pictures
right
on these
there.
sideways
Wow.
cop cars,
But I think that,
and then
you know-
running away, not getting arrested.
This is all
Oh,
part
yeah.
of like there's an
Yeah,
aspect
there
of
was a-
sports.
Guys, one at a time. Vince, go ahead.
There's an aspect of sports that is cathartic for the people, and when they get a victory, it makes them feel extremely empowered, and then that's when you get something like a riot, because they riot whether they win or they lose, and there is an aspect of, I guess, the hockey that is like an internal victory, like a psychological victory for the individual, and so it replaces actual victory and actual, you know, like leg up on anything. And so when a riot breaks out after a game, that's when people are like, look, everyone's already hyped up, everyone's already feeling empowered. Now we can go and talk about housing crisis. Now we can go and talk about all the problems with our city and in Canada. And I mean, there are a lot of problems. It's when the media is actually paying attention. It's when there's actually eyes on it, and it's when there's
Yeah.
the most people that are hyped up. So, and I feel like this happens in most countries and most types of sports, because sports always is sort of like of the people, and the people are always just that close to it. And so if you say anything about their hockey team or their football team or their soccer team, like, you're insulting them by saying it, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, because it's the
Part
most
of identity.
it's a universalizing thing. We all feel it. I see a hand. You in the front
All
row.
right.
Bernie.
I had my hand up first,
That's so
Bernie.
civilized.
Polite Canadian here.
That was the first
Um,
time that's ever happened. Canadians are the first people to actually implement the hand wave.
The hand.
yeah.
All right. So when I was actually in that Montreal riot, how it started was everyone like went out, and it's correct. They had won, and everyone was like celebrating, like woo! And then the cops came and started pushing people and hitting people with the sticks, and that's when it turned into a bloody riot, because it was like, hey, what the hell are you doing trying to hit me? I'm just trying to celebrate.
That's right.
Oh man. So they got kind of they were this is Montreal. This the French
Yeah, that was
police.
the Montreal one. I
Did-
can't
did-
speak for Vancouver.
did they
but
have,
that
like,
was in Montreal?
Did they have like glass shields and what do they look like? What do the
The
cops
French
look
Oh
like?
yeah, they came out with a
Yeah.
riot here. It was
They'll
the
just
riot
look it up.
cop. So it was
'Cause in
like
France, that's what they look
that
like. I haven't-
riot.
Yeah. In
They don't
France,
have the
like,
machine
have you
guns
seen
like the ones in France?
French police? Like, let's just like remind
Well,
people what it looks
I've-
like in France.
I've been in a
Like-
few riots.
This is what French police look like, and I
Been
always
in a few
imagine.
riots.
I
what?
mean,
What?
Don't they? Is this what French Canadians do too, or just is this? 'cause
No.
no, they're
No.
chill. Okay, so let's do French Canadian.
No, just write Montreal
Helmet.
riot police.
Right, so
Right, Montreal riot police.
that would be more reasonable. Okay, riot police. Oh my god, it's a lot. They're blue helmets like the UN,
They
and they
look very
do.
much the same, and they used to be a lot like, it's getting gradually darker and darker over time. It's like we're getting
Wow.
more and more, I guess, fascist imagery, and so you just
Ah,
have
the
like,
shields. There
it used to be
is.
blue, like bright blue, and then
Oh
it
my
gradually
God.
just got darker and darker.
Those are for going sledding.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's
yeah.
what they're doing.
You like when
But
we had
outnumber
the
them, they can make a speedy getaway.
Dude,
When
we
there
need to
was
make a
the,
movie about a Montreal cop that sleds away. All right, keep going. Sorry.
during the Occupy movement, there was the we had like Occupy Montreal basically, and so it got to winter, and we had like gathered up. They had $60,000 gathered up or something, and they were going to get military grade tents so they could occupy Montreal all winter. And then the cops came in and just tore everything down and just ripped all the tents apart. And someone stole the 60,000.
Dude, on the right. No.
Which what? This guy here? Oh yeah. Deconstruct. Yeah, for sure.
Look at the girl with the clipboard. She's like, all right, tear this one down, folks.
It served its purpose. We got the
This
photo.
one's good to go.
But the worst part is that someone stole the money that was gathered. So they had saved up all this money, and then someone stole it, and then the cops came in and took everything down. It was probably an undercover cop who just infiltrated easily.
A ticket, his second ticket of the day.
They had like a whole kitchen set up, and like they were working on donation, and I don't know. There was a spirit to it that was very alive, but obviously hopeless. There's no
Cops stepped in and took care of that pretty quick.
Yeah,
pretty brutal. My God. So I mean, so the Occupy movement though around the world, like in Canada, did you guys have the same? What were the economic crises? Was it this in America? People lost their houses. How bad was Occupy, or how bad was the collapse?
It was all. I mean, the collapse affected most countries, especially North America. But like, it was more. Everyone had a certain, I guess, mindset regarding the corruption that was going around and that had been so rampant in every single city we could see, and including ours, because we were filled with, corruption everywhere. And so people were tired of it, and they just spoke out and decided, hey, look, there's momentum building everywhere, so might as well join them and express our woes about the term of the at the time was the 1%, and they would have talk about zeitgeist.
Yeah, right. So the movement of our time. So I mean, but the success of this was also maybe even less. I mean, it's the United States. It was obviously a failure, but it was the Rockefeller movement financed it and used it to say, hey, you did it to the American people. Did they do that to you guys? Did they say that? What were the changes that came?
There were no changes.
Yeah,
right.
Nothing.
So completely.
I mean, the thing is that it all started in the U.S. and so there was probably sabotage here, but over there it was just controlled opposition, because that's what they do with everything. It's just there's anything that happens, let's put some money and some people there and control what is done and thought and said.
How was this started? I actually didn't pay too close attention at the time.
I think it was the collapse when there was they had gambled on all those the loans they gave out, and they lost.
Yeah, was it the Dr. David Graeber was involved in it? That anthropologist.
It was started by undercover provocateurs and the New World Order.
It was the one guy that got convicted. It was the one guy, and there was no one else, and he was a lower level employee. And, nothing changed. Nothing. No one got caught. No one got arrested.
Yeah. Oh, this guy, Dr. David Graeber, I feel like he was one of the influencers of it.
Dr. David Graeber.
He passed away writing his last book, most recent book. Graeber. Oh, sorry. Beber.
Grae.
Yeah.
A-E. Berg.
Yeah. Ber.
Graeber. Okay. All right. That works. This guy here.
Yeah. And he writes really good books.
Click of the one with the vest.
What's the secret? He died mysteriously, like writing his.
Oh, look at that lamp. Did you see that lamp? That was some
Macaulay book.
Yeah, where'd that go? That's a good lamp. I like that.
What's going on with that lamp?
He's a really dope guy. Yeah, he's an anthropologist.
It's a magical
and an anarchist activist.
Not confirmed.
Okay, and he's got some good books on. Let's read the names of his books.
Debt, the first 5,000 years. That sounds good.
Nice.
Bullshit job.
Yeah, leading role in the Occupy movement.
Bullshit jobs. That's the
leading role of the Occupy movement earned him recognition.
Bullshit jobs. Okay, so he has a book about just like the kinds of jobs that are created just to keep people employed in order to keep society.
That's right. So that's what, when you're as an activist, that's the one thing you can say to anybody who's like authority to you. You just go, you have a bullshit job. Sorry, like you're fielding my complaints as I do frontline work. Like.
Most people have bullshit jobs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every job, job that's being.
The thing is, it's not that there's like most jobs are bullshit, but it's just that most most jobs, even the ones that are important, have a load of bullshit with them.
If
I
And
you're
wonder how to
not-
psychologically wound them in order for them to.
If you're doing the
give
same
up.
thing twice, it's a bullshit job. at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, that's right,
them
and
in
a
the
lot of it is
cycle.
that.
keep
Yeah,
them in the cycle. Keep them in the cycle.
Well,
that's
that's
right.
your
keep them in
mom,
the
buddy.
That
cycle.
arm has a bullshit job, eh?
Yeah, and always thinking is
That
like, this is my
arms
life.
just keep on going, Bernie.
Serve butter.
Anyway,
Uh,
yeah, this guy's
well,
cool.
alright.
I'm reading his most recent book. Yeah,
Graber. So which one are you reading? Which is? But he just died. You said. So he died.
yeah. So he died
Rush to the
mysteriously
front, buddy.
Oh,
in Italy.
okay. Before
His
we
stomach
change on
started to
both
like
those
really
riots,
bleed
Wait. Let me see. He
I
thought.
will
he's-
never forget how
in like
quickly.
2020.
Sorry.
No, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh, so the riots in Montreal, I will never forget how quickly the locker got robbed and emptied. And then it was like the
Nice.
sport check right next to it and like one other place. So they just like took all the shoes immediately. And
That's right.
it was something else.
French kids love shoes. I don't know. What can you say? That's fair.
Sounds like
It's
LA
not-
right now.
Yeah, I mean, everyone did.
Not
That's the
French
thing is that the insurance scam upon all this was so crazy that they were able to do that. Who just died though recently? There was the ABC reporter disappeared.
Oh,
That was a whole thing. Or
disappeared.
FBI raid James Gordon. You heard all about this whole thing,
Buddy,
Thought that-
Detective James Gordon, obviously.
right? So what's the deal?
Commissioner
So
Gordon.
James Gordon, Meek, star ABC journalist, who's been missing since April FBI raid. So the story is that after the FBI raid, he was disappeared.
What?
Yeah. No one has seen
That's
Mr. Meek
scary.
since the 27th April raid on his upscale Arlington, Virginia by local and federal agents, Rolling Stone reports. Bystanders told the magazine they saw heavily armed officers and tactical vehicles outside the building where the reporter lives. Following the search, probably not for Hunter Biden's third laptop, the FBI said it was conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in the area. The agency declined to comment further to the Independent. Why did they search him? Agents raided the reporter after a federal judge approved a search warrant that day before. Anonymous sources familiar with the operation told Rolling Stone the reporter was suspected of possessing classified material on his laptop, something not out of the realm of possibility for a national security reporter. If such documents exist, as claimed, this would be within the scope of his long career as an investigative journalist covering government wrongdoings, his attorney Eugene Gorkroff told The Independent. The allegations in your inquiry are troubling for different reasons. They appear to come from a source inside the government. It's highly inappropriate and illegal for individuals in the government to leak information about the ongoing investigation. We hope that the Department of Justice promptly investigates the source of this leak. All right. So there's that. So basically, this is all.
Investigate the leak, not the missing reporter.
Basically,
We heard
right?
that. Mhm.
Still, in a weird way, it seems like that could help in a sense too, because if you could see what department they were working in, who leaked it, then they're probably close enough to like who are their bosses that are disappearing people. Under the revised 2021 Department of Justice guidelines, U.S. Department Attorney General Lisa Monaco would have had to sign off on the investigation. Answers my previous question. Lisa Monaco. So in case Attorney General Lisa Monaco isn't in, your phone book, I'm pretty sure you can find it if you type in contact, but also go to the Jeopardy thing. And you could probably ask her directly if you want to call or email or Twitter Lisa Monaco. I would encourage it just to ask what's going on. You know what I mean? Because like get an official story out there as soon as possible. Let's see who assumed office, Attorney General under President Biden in April 21st, 2021. So she's been, working here just long enough to know what's been going on, hopefully, since April, right, of last year. Attorney General Lisa O. Monaco delivers remarks announcing a guilty plea by Lafarge on terrorism charges. So here's an example of something that she recently just did, talking. So you can see what she's working on. So I would say, yeah, look into people, find out what they're doing. Not sure if like she's part of some weird like Hollywood movie thing about the disappearance of James Gordon Meek, ABC star journalist. But okay, that's my spiel. I felt like Jordan, you sounded like you're like, yeah, bud. So what do you know about this?
About James Gordon. Oh, no, I was just saying he's Detective James Gordon. I was just dicking around.
Oh yeah, he does sound
But
like
his
that.
last
Yeah.
name's Meek. I thought his last name was Gordon, not Meek. So
Oh
I don't know.
yeah. It would have been a good Batman moment. Yeah, that's
So I
his
got
maiden
nothing
name.
on that. Sorry.
That's fair.
Well, right now we could talk about they're doing testimonies for the truckers
Oh,
protest.
are they? There you
Yeah,
go.
so people have been streaming it on YouTube, and it's kind of a mess.
Here we go. Let's look into some of this.
Trucker testimony.
Basically it's to see if the Emergencies Act was justified.
Buddy, you don't need to type Canada. There's no other trucker testimony going on right now.
Right? Trucker testimony.
Stole their money, eh?
Yeah, take our money and then you just keep it there, bud.
And all those truckers out front, it made our prime minister catch COVID for the third time, eh?
Meet our prime minister,
honking so
prime
hard,
cut.
Trucker testimony. So okay, so yeah, as you're saying though, the truckers got a bunch of money together and it was stolen, right? It was held from them. What's the deal with that? And how long can that happen for?
I really want to know how the heck they stole their crypto wallets. That's scary.
Oh yeah,
well,
That's the
They can
problem
do
with
anything.
crypto, man. Like, you can just literally get hacked
by the Royal Canadian Mounting
by anybody.
Police. So
Mounted or not.
RCMP warns of increase in offenses involving cryptocurrency. What people don't know is that aside from riding the horses, they ride the airwaves. Like the RCMP are the ones that are deep into your internet security, right?
Catch 'em riding dirty. Catch 'em riding.
Oh, this
dirty.
one's about other scammers. This isn't about them being the scammers.
Exactly.
They're just.
But it says that they're
playing
following
up.
They're following everybody. They know who has crypto. They're arresting people with crypto. In other words, they're very good at investigating crypto in Canada, and they know where the money is. They know who's got it. And so the RCMP, if you're looking for someone at your door, who's been watching, and taking down these groups, the trucker fund, it was the RCMP for sure. Let's see if we can see a trucker.
Oh shit, eh? Are they gonna come take my 40 XRP away from me?
It's all gone, bud. It's all gone.
RCMP order blacklist of 34 crypto wallets. Okay, so this is the beginning of that. So not only that, they were able to issue a public order that the international Bitcoin crypto community took as serious because it was from the Canadian government. And so they're able to shut down these wallets. Now, these weren't like human trafficking wallets. They're truckers, literally trying to protect.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
the
it's
claim
interesting.
is that the protesters were a threat to democracy. And so it's odd because, it's your own population protesting, expressing themselves, their political views, their needs and demands. But apparently that's a threat to democracy. It's a very confusing way to operate because, at its core, what democracy is people expressing their views. And for some reason, Justin Trudeau thought this was a threat enough to invoke an Emergencies Act. It's
like the first Emergencies Act, like in 2 generations or something, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I'm pretty sure it hasn't even happened. I think it happened once before. But
before with the Quebec terrorist, like when they doing the bombings like 2 generations ago, I think.
I think they might have abducted someone and cut their head off. No, I thought that was
really
the truckers. Yeah, I think 3
No.
or 4 people.
the one that they used the other time
Trudeau?
that they did.
No.
Yeah,
No, it was like his
not
dad
Trudeau.
did it
It's way
back in the
before.
His dad cut off someone? No, I'm just kidding.
No, the protesters did something to like I don't know, someone in legislature. I don't know, whatever.
Canadian Emergencies Act decapitation. Let's find out. Canada decapitation. Canadian decapitation sounds like a good band. No, these are all going to be
That's my new band, eh? Canadian decapitation.
A band-aid? You got a
When was-
cut on your finger, bud?
when was this, Melissa? Do you have any idea?
I
Canadian
guess
convoy
decades
protests?
ago.
No.
Decades
This
ago.
was back
70s. No, maybe
Yeah,
it
it's
was
the 70s. What is this act that they put on? What was it?
I don't
Canadian.
know. Capital punishment in Canada is over, so it's not that. A Canada convoy protest is all that wants to come up. They don't want me to know about that. Mayhem in Montreal. Riot in prison with decapitation. I don't know. Killing of Tim McLean. Is he Canadian? 22-year-old Canadian, 2008. No, can't animalized on the.
What was the
bus.
act that they enacted?
Oh, the Greyhound decapitation.
said
that
it.
one.
Oh,
So the
that was a
Emergency Act.
bad
So,
one.
Yeah.
so just look up when the Emergencies Act. Like all
That
the
one
times it
went
has been
straight to
invoked.
your head.
Emergency Act 1988, Canada. authorizes government of Canada to take extraordinary temporary measures to respond to public welfare emergencies, public order emergencies, international emergencies, and war emergencies. Replaces the War Measures Act, passed in 1914. Okay. History,
I don't know, when is
Royal
it now?
Commission, War Act, legislative history, October Crisis. The October Crisis?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Also, it was in 88.
Canada, October Crisis. The October Crisis. Say it in French for me, Vince. The crise d'octobre.
La crise d'octobre.
That's so much better than me.
Yeah,
Refers to a
the
chain of.
the liberation de Quebec.
Can you say
FLQ,
Mon Oncle
that's the one.
Antoine?
Mon oncle Antoine.
Yeah.
Mon oncle Antoine. Yeah.
Oh, can you read the hockey sweater anytime? Like,
I can read
French.
anything in French.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's part of what he's here for, just to make sure we don't screw it up.
That I'm the official Quebec envoy.
That's why C11
awesome.
loves us. All right. So when members of the when the French Liberation de Quebec kidnapped the provincial labor minister Pierre Laporte and British diplomat James Cross from his Montreal residence, these events saw the Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau invoke the War Measures Act for the first time in Canadian history during peacetime. Okay, so that was from 1914, and it wasn't good enough. Here's some pictures of troops moving in Montreal. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It's just it's such a serious. It's a serious picture.
One guy just like, ooh.
Things this serious make me like laugh. I don't know what to say. Like that guy does not look like he's having a fun day. That is not just like a snow fight in Canada. The
yeah,
premier,
Pierre Laporte was kidnapped and murdered.
what?
Yeah.
Pierre Laporte, buddy. All right, let's see. So he was a Canadian lawyer, journalist, politician. He was a deputy premier of the province of Quebec, where he was kidnapped and murdered by members of the Front de Liberation de Quebec during the October Crisis. Grandson of liberal politician Alfred Leduc. Must be important. So in other words, long line of important family, let's say at least, and coming back from 1889, family business. Yeah, so he goes back to the Normans in French. Le Devoir newspaper, 1945-1961. He was a journalist and crusading against Quebec's then premier, Maurice Duplessis. Is that right? Did I get that right?
So we're just comparing the two events and like when they chose to enact.
Yeah,
like,
but this seems important. So they killed
yeah,
a royal.
it was
They
a
killed a
kidnap
royal.
and murder
They
of
killed a
somebody
royal.
involved in politic there or whatever.
He's like an Anderson Cooper of French Canada kind of a thing. He comes back from one of these longtime families, and then they
Kidnapped and murdered to have the
Right.
War Measures Act.
Who is he?
or
Quebec's
just
labor
some
minister and
protesters
senior member of
kidnapped
province's
that.
cabinet. So he was like in the province's cabinet and he was Quebec's labor minister and they kidnapped and murdered him.
well here's another
And that's when they
layer.
chose to break that off. And then this is another labor movement now, and they've
Wait,
chosen to.
But this layer of inside jobbiness I need to read. Le Devoir ran a 6-part series on problems during the construction of the, read this for me, Berm-Simi, right here. Bersimi.
That's not even a French word. So
Oh, okay. The Bersimis.
Bersimis, one
It's-
generating state.
It's Hydro Quebec. Oh, that's a
Like,
cool
why
name.
you got me? here?
Hydro-Québec, esti.
All right, so generation station. So there's so you have a neo-Nazi power station built by Hydro Quebec, allegedly, and then he was part of a team of Le Devoir reporters exposing
hydro station.
exposing the natural gas scandal leading to the formation of the Salvez Commission soon after the 1960 election. So he's been involved with messing with oil money and with nuclear power companies. I'm not sure on which side right now, right?
Man just wanted to power Quebec and they kidnapped him and killed him.
Yeah, looking
Well,
like
it's involved in something, or part of something that was in the way, right? So
I'll say, looks like it. Okay, so he was going to build a Chernobyl like Quebec, and they decided to stop him. Kidnapping,
Oh, there's
1970.
still nuclear plants in Quebec.
Yeah, but imagine if the whole thing was free for Quebeckies. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like it.
I'm sure, like all of these things, like the real reason gets like all the
For
dust
sure.
on top of it, right?
Oh, this is
2,
so
3,
brutal. I
4
feel so
stories in front of it.
I feel so bad for him. Paul and Jacques Rose and Francis Simard and Bernard Lortet approached Laporte while he was playing football with his nephew on his front lawn and forced him into their vehicle at gunpoint. Where's the movie? I want to see this.
Yeah,
They
for
dubbed
sure.
him with the Minister of Unemployment and Assimilation.
Mhm.
Okay. And they held him hostage, demanding the release of 23 political prisoners. Interesting number choice. In exchange for his freedom, British diplomat James Cross was also being held hostage by the FLQ at the same time, having been kidnapped on the 5th of October. Cross survived the experience and was released on the 3rd of December.
Okay, so there was 23 of their own in jail. So
okay, so yeah, there's the reason. And then October 17th, happy anniversary, 7 days after he went missing, Lepore's body was found in the trunk of a 1968 Chevrolet Biscayne. I don't even know how you say Chevrolet's cars. Montreal, which is an Italian guy from Switzerland that Americans make the car. I don't know what to do with that. Montreal Saint Hubert Longwy Airport. His kidnappers were subsequently captured and sentenced for his murder and served terms ranging from 20 years to life, though they were all released on parole much earlier. Okay, so we can interview him. Lepore was buried in the cimetière.
Canada's justice system. Released early for kidnapping and murdering
it was an
a
intense
politician.
time.
Well, you know what Canada is? It's tag and release fishing, right? Is the whole idea. I think
That's
is
how
what-
it is with all serial killers.
Yeah, man, it's
But I learned
brutal.
from Batman.
That's
Can
crazy.
I vote to have this guy's picture on the next dollar bill instead of the creepy king?
Pierre Lepore. I could see it. At least on like
Right?
coins
The
or
penguin
something.
over here.
Yeah, that's a
Keanu
thing
Reeves.
you could do.
I'd rather have a penguin than our monarch.
It's just another casualty of another labor
And
movement.
a
You know?
pedophile.
Another casualty of another labor movement. All right. Well, okay, but then they enacted this new Emergencies Act because it wasn't powerful enough. What is the thing that it allows for us? They can
Yeah, the
go.
War Measures Act wasn't powerful enough. We needed the Emergencies Act to stop them truckers.
That's pretty weird.
Okay, so it was the War Measures Act, which is a little
Yeah.
higher, right?
No, this is higher. The
Yeah,
Emergencies
they're
Act.
saying they replaced the War Measures Act with this new act.
Oh,
Right. Parliament intended
My
to
feet up.
provide more civil rights protection and less likelihood for abuse of power than the War Measures Act, which to me sounds like usually the opposite, right? You know, when you do that, there's a whole new way to circumvent all of the ways that you already had checks and balances before. Was defined more restrictively to limit broad use. So I think that's the point they say, but that's so that they can give it to these programs. They were too widespread. So now you can make sure that the programs you have 1,000 programs instead of one big program. It's far more efficient. And each program can, on a need to know basis, only see the information from, you know, for instance, if you're studying the crypto habits of immigrant populations in the west of Canada, or, you know, liberal civil rights groups or something, or political dissidents in Montreal, you're allowed to study one or the other, but you're not allowed to know about both because then you would have too much information. So they just break it down. It can make
I don't
orders.
know about all these
Metamask symbol I
strategics.
see in the top of your browser, Xirtus.
What now? What? Hey, which thing?
MetaMask.
MetaMask. I do. Yeah, it's true. That's true. You caught me. That's what Brave. It comes with Brave. It's not my fault. What do I know? Public welfare emergency, public order emergency. Let's do the public order. Emergency Act describe public order emergency results from the serious threats to the security of Canada. Okay. So includes espionage, sabotage, detrimental foreign influences. Okay. It's a lot more broad than the War Act. Activities which support the threat or use of violence for a political, religious, or ideological objective, or those activities that which threaten to undermine or otherwise destroy or overthrow the government of Canada. The Canadian Security Intelligence Services Act notes that lawful advocacy, protests, or dissents do not constitute threats to the security of Canada. Section 18 of the Act states that a public order emergency declaration persists for 30 days, subject to being extended through another proclamation or ending earlier. Okay. And then international emergency, we saw what that was with the COVID. War emergency. I mean, it seems like, yeah, so they knew that they weren't going to have a lot of war emergencies. They would have to have a health emergency or an international emergency. So a public order emergency.
The thing is that they did everything that the truckers wanted. They gave them everything they wanted in the end. They just, you know, didn't want to give up the moral high ground and the position of authority. So they were like, we're going to take down everything you have. We're going to take your money and like call you the bad guys, compare you to Nazis. But then we're just going to retract everything we were requesting that caused the protest in the first place. So they gave up all the, like they
So
started
it's forcing them to be vaccinated to travel between provinces. I
Yeah,
think is what started it.
but that's what started it, and then it evolved into, you know, okay, like this is absurd. Reopen places, let people be free to walk around, stop punishing people who don't want to be vaccinated. And eventually, like right after demolishing the whole movement, they did exactly what they asked. So they
In
were like,
terms of
"No."
allowing them to work without being vaccinated, but then they stole all their money. So what did they, I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they stole the organizers' money, so it wasn't like they didn't go for all truckers or anything. They just they froze the assets, and I think it was
That's
PayPal.
quite
No,
a few people and quite a substantial
the
amount. of money.
GoFundMe page got locked down. That's it. Like, so they had a GoFundMe page, and it got closed, and all the assets got kept. So instead of giving it back to the patrons, they just kept it all for themselves.
and the
Yeah, I
dozens
think
of
the
crypto
protest
wallets.
evolved. That's why it was like they were supposed to drive through like a big convoy and drive there as like a big expressive thing, and then decided, I think, that they would end up camping in Ottawa, right? Like,
Yeah,
sending
like
people.
like an occupation.
Yeah, like an occupation, and then it was like, no, don't do that part, kind of thing. So technically, if they were to like maybe keep the convo going, rather keep it moving, maybe it
Yeah,
would have been.
But this
fine,
works. This worked so much better. Like it pissed them off so much harder.
Oh, it did.
Like,
Okay, because I wasn't
oh,
out
yeah.
east, right? So we had it going down Hastings. We always get protests going on the street I work on, and it's like Hastings downtown east side, and Vancouver is a very protest heavy street. And then we had all the truckers driving by all the time, honking for like a month.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
But
probably
that's how
annoying
it
for the
was
people
in
who live there,
downtown.
but it was like we were like, yeah.
Sure,
Please
but
look
that's
up
the point,
videos
right?
of
It's
East
the,
Hastings.
like what's the point of a protest if it doesn't interfere with anything and it doesn't bother anyone? People want like harmless, do nothing protests of like people standing in a corner with a
Yeah.
sign saying like don't do the thing, and it doesn't affect anyone. You never hear about it. You won't ever hear anything on the news. Like if you get slandered
No.
by Canadian news, if they talk about your protest on Canadian news and they say all the awful things like you guys are Nazis or you guys did this or that, that means you're winning, because you're actually you're so annoying that they need to
Pay people
shape,
money.
they need to shape
I mean,
the perception
organizers
that
need to
people
be
have of them.
smarter in this day and age. Like, you need to pay lawyers. You need to have lawyers on your side. You need to
No, but
have.
Vince is right. They can pay they're paying for the shaping of the perception, right, Vince? Exactly.
But if you have lawyers involved, then you can shape the perception as well, right? So it's
To a
like,
I
degree.
mean, it's hard,
But
like because
media
Media is still
television.
gonna do it.
Yeah, and the C11 is the big one. That's like why the show
Yeah.
exists. Hail Canada, because let's see, Canada, is this right? See Canada.
It's not that different with American media and how they shape certain
Yeah, yeah.
trials and these things. They'll cherry pick
Yeah.
certain moments. And
It's a little more. I don't know how to say this. Like, there's extra steps. There's more. I want to call it nuance, but it's or caveats. Or something
Honestly-
fancier, but it's not. It's just a bunch of scam in America. Like
I've
you know,
watched American
Scam
media. Like I've watched American television in the past, and I've watched Canadian.
shout
and
out to
I
Anderson
think
Cooper, by the way.
The main difference is that Americans have more commercials. Because they have more. There's just more of the unconscious, just filler shit.
You ever
They
see an
just
infomercial in America?
Buy the
Oh, yeah.
drugs. Don't worry
It's
about the
fucking
side
crazy.
effects. Buy the drugs.
A six-
Crazy.
But the
Just
thing
like-
is, 6-hour infomercial, compare that to like a 6-hour marathon on CBC, and tell me, really, is there that big of a difference?
Honestly,
commercial
the
free.
thing is, in French Quebec, we have infomercial channels, and they just play translated versions of English infomercials.
That's
And
terrifying.
they're horrible. They're horrible. It's the worst. It's the worst kind of television.
I've
But
been
I
on
mean-
TV since like 2008 or something.
I haven't
Yeah.
had cable, but I have a flat screen. If that counts.
Nice.
I didn't
How
have
many?
cable growing up either, eh? We had
I grew up with it, but just yeah.
I stopped having television when Jon Stewart
TV.
stopped hosting Daily Show. That's
In
when-
2019, the television viewers in Canada amount to about 27.8 million. There's a small decline, but really that's a decent percentage of Canada watches
I find the
television.
CBC's news is actually like worse than CNN for like
Oh, for sure.
every single foreign report
sucks.
that you hear on CBC. It's like now from Washington. Here
That's pretty
comes the
decent.
CBC News from Washington.
Well, I think they're all part of the
going on
same
with-
parent companies, anyways. This is all part of the even Canadian media is still part of like the umbrella companies that are own that own media.
What's going on with Gian Gameshi these days?
Oh no,
Where's he at?
he was so
I don't know.
talented, but such a freak.
Giangameshi. Tell me about Giangameshi.
He got off on that trial.
Okay,
right?
so his interviews, what was his show? I can't remember.
Q.
Q.
Final
So he
Cafe.
interviewed famous people, and this guy, man, could get like seasoned actors, actresses, like people who had been media trained like their whole lives and famous their whole lives to like open up about the most intimate things. And it was insane because he would put this kind of pressure on them and he would kind of
Brent Foot.
insult them and then they'd be kind of scared, but then they'd like overshare, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic interviews. Okay. But then you find out the reason he learned this skill is because he's basically just like abusing his staff, abusing women, abusing girlfriends. Like, oh my God, these terrifying situations and scenarios. And then there's this famous thing I have to defend an actor from Bobby Lee, that comedian, because I was listening to his podcast and he had this impression that, Billy Bob Thornton was some kind of jerk because he snapped on Canadian broadcasting, but he didn't snap because he's a jerk. He snapped at this guy because this guy is a creep, and he caught on to it and was like, what are you doing, man? He was kind of like caught on that it was like some kind of mind play. So he called it out and it looked bad on TV or on radio and filmed, but he was just basically like, what the hell, So it was like he caught on to that, like trying to destabilize you mentally and then kind of like get in there with like intimate questions, kind of interview style that this guy did. And he was very talented, but
there's a trial. What was
very talented groomer?
Yeah, he was a very talented groomer. They should have. He's probably working for Intel now. Like
Andreas, some coworkers and like some actresses, like Lucy from the Trailer Park Boys, they came forward about his sexual conduct and abuses, workplace harassments.
That guy abused Lucy from Trailer Park.
Oh my God.
Poor Sonny
Lucy!
couldn't even
Back to the
escape.
park.
God. Here for America.
To the park there, boys.
Yeah, he kind of brushed it off as sort of like fetish, whatever stuff. Dates.
Can I point out that he was actually British and not actually Canadian, though?
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Can't trust that.
He was in Canada when he did it, though.
He was undercover.
Is
undercover
he? Oh,
Canadian.
look at that. He was born in London.
And Gomeshi is a Persian name, so he's all over the world. He's really
Yeah,
everybody has
he's-
a part of Gian Gomeshi inside of them at this point.
Yeah,
And that's really why the
Illuminati
trial had to go down.
confirmed. That's fine.
That's sad. Okay, but CBC and the C11.
Oh
and
my
everything-
God. The trial had to happen because everyone had a little bit of Gian Gameshi inside of them.
That's what I think. At least Bernie hears to me. I like that. All right.
Bernie!
But the Department of Justice requires the Minister of Justice to prepare a charter statement for every government bill, and they created this idea of C11 to say that, like, culturally, we need to control the message because so many people are getting off of TV and going onto the internet, right? And so I wonder, do you think it's working? And do you think if we just keep making shows with "Oh Canada" in the theme song and everything else, that we're gonna? I mean, are we winning? Are we winning, or are they winning?
I wasn't sure if you were some kind of psyop.
I know,
on
right?
this show
I am
now,
a
and I'm
psyop.
like,
Whoa,
what's
you
going
still
on?
never know.
I'm like, this act's coming out.
MK
and I'm
Canada
like,
is
He's
sounding
playing
promoting
the
this.
long game. He's playing the long
MK
game.
Canada does sound like a psychological operation, as far as I can tell. I think that's the plan. But
Yeah.
what kind? One to wake the people up? I mean, that sounds fair. I'm
Did
right.
you
Oh, the
watch the
banging.
intro? It's pure MK Ultra for sure.
Yeah.
But it's really just footage of Justin Trudeau and I think what we're trying to do is we're trying
Footage of
to
you.
what's
Wait,
it called
where
where
do I go?
you get in control of your own mind, where it's like unmind
can't do it.
control? Because if you get here's the thing: if you watch a movie from Canada anytime,
Watch your own brain, man.
Yeah, like all the Canadian media is
There's
designed.
a good YouTube channel called Encore Plus that's Canadian, and it has all the
God,
Degrassi
enough of
episodes.
Degrassi.
Dude, watch
The
Try
MK
it enough.
Ultra
This is the
yourself.
greatest.
But
This
I mean,
is
watched
the
so
it.
greatest for nostalgia purposes.
It was
No,
Garbage.
it's serious content.
it's a great show.
Serious.
I'm a big fan. Kid
This
dies
is-
in
this
the
is
show.
Serious business.
I
Dude,
watched an episode. My
let's
God.
be real. She goes blind because
Yeah.
Wheeler gets drunk because the twins have the party.
Drake.
Spoiler alert.
Drake gets
Yeah,
shot in
the kid
spine.
with the sports jacket, he has HIV positive.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. That was a bummer, man.
What
was
about
a
the
bummer.
black
I just
dude?
watched that
Tell me about
episode.
the black guy.
He
I
was like a
forget.
bud to people, like a good
Yeah.
guy.
Bro, he's just
What's his
a
name?
token
He was
black
best friends
dude.
with
Token?
the another guy.
She
that was nice.
she was rich, and I think that was.
We're just skipping the black dude.
I forget.
She's rich.
I
I
forget
don't
what
think
the
he had a
deal
big
with Halo.
storyline. Yeah.
Probably did.
Well,
We suffered.
that's why he looks so pissed off up there. He's like, man, I don't even know why I'm here.
dude. But then this is the
What's that?
2015 Degrassi. This is the new
Oh,
Degrassi.
look at this girl with
Progressive.
her hand on her butt. That's sexual.
Right?
You know she's the sassy one.
Dude.
Yeah.
The new Degrassi was gnarly because
the goth girl. The
Oh,
goth girl.
there's a trans girl.
the gay guy in this show who's super flamboyant.
The
He's kind of
non-buying.
he's going out with this sort of like in the closet bi guy who's super popular
I'm sorry, which
And
one
the
was
goth
gay
girl at
one?
the same
Why is he
time.
super popular?
because he's rich and handsome and does well in school. I don't know what the rules are
So
yet.
white boy.
That's
But-
not how
Oh,
it
that's
worked
a
when I went to
dude.
school.
There's
My
not
bad.
Then-
one hyper Italian guy in sight. This isn't a realistic.
No.
Yeah, this
Uh,
is no good, man.
Luke-
This is
Yeah.
no good.
Luke Billich, though, he was the Slavic equivalent.
Give us love. We're gonna watch it now.
Are any of them straight
Yes.
at all?
Yeah.
They all look like they're
He's-
into BS.
He's supposed to be straight. This kid's supposed to be straight.
to be.
He's supposed to be straight. This guy's straight sometimes on a Thursday, but the deal is that then he comes out, and because he's already popular, he takes away everything that he has because the gay thing was his thing. And now it's just like
Wow,
anybody
does-
can be gay, and it's not a big
does-
deal anymore. It's
Does
like,
he
yeah,
take
you have
his
to have your own.
Venom vest?
You have to have your personality. I'm sorry, it doesn't work to just
Well,
be.
if your
Oh,
personality
interesting.
is your sexuality, you know, you might
Yeah.
have some stuff.
Wait,
to
so
work
what
on.
you're telling us, Andreas, is that you're watching this current season too?
This
Yeah,
is a
you're
couple years
definitely
ago.
up to
I've
date.
seen this.
You're
I'm
definitely up to
I'm
date.
definitely up to date.
6 years
Yeah.
ago?
Dude, because the show is made by Principal Snake. What's his Snake is Snake, right? And Degrassi.
The original cast, some of them are involved still. Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
the problem with a lot of these shows is just that no one's as drunk
Snake.
as real high schoolers.
Right.
Like, Canadian high
Aw.
schools are filled with alcohol and like
Right.
so
Alcoholism.
much drugs.
And it's like
And
we
it's
drink
just-
at 18.
So at the
Yeah.
end of the original Degrassi, though, all the kids
Oh,
at the end
that's
of
By grade
that's
11, grade 12,
Michelle's
people are
husband,
pretty
right?
drunk.
Right.
Michelle Shaughnessy's
The
husband.
guys are anyway.
yeah,
Like
Jordan.
a big deal that someone drinks once or something. You know, they make a whole episode about it. The guy goes to rehab or whatever. And it's just like you walk into any Canadian high school and just most
I
people
see
are
him
either on
walking around
drugs
town
or
all the
drunk.
time.
So the
Cool.
original
You
version.
should go talk to him.
The original.
Well, I
we
know
should
his
get-
wife. I know
Yeah,
his-
we should
Tell
probably
him
do a.
I loved
you
you
there?
I loved you in Degrassi.
I
Come
love
on.
what he's doing with
He's the
Degrassi
best.
right now because he's writing and directing the show. But the original version in the ending high school movie, everybody's dying and people are on drugs and there's all these problems. And he's the only one who's kind of like still has his act together. So he just leaves town, right? And he doesn't come back
Oh.
until he ends up running the school. So I mean,
Yeah, road
that is-
movies are famous here. We have
yeah.
a lot of famous road movies in Canada.
I mean, and so for that
Sure.
deep dive into the lifetime that is Degrassi, I bring it up not just because they have the same actors for their entire life, but that is because it's like the Truman Show, right? Like that is the. Imagine how weird it is that Canada makes shows that literally their whole lives, like from when they're children. Those
He is Canadian as well.
Well, we had that
he's Canadian,
amazing.
dog.
She's an amazing director now.
Movie too. I love that movie.
And her name, she was on Road to Avonlea. I think that's the show, and she was a child actress in that. And then she continued.
Which one
Sarah
is?
Sarah Pauli, Sarah, I think without an H, and then Pauli with 2 L's and a Y. So she was a child actress, and then she has this incredible movie I've been meaning to mention on this show. The Stories We Tell. It's kind of a serious story, but it's a documentary about like her discovering. It's really cool. It has like sort of home movie footage mixed with like flashback footage mixed with like voiceover narrative voice, like with her own experience, basically finding out that her father is a different father than she thought. And it's a super empowering movie where she learns who she is. And it's like very fascinating, but the Stories We Tell is sort of the theme. And it's like based on like, it's kind of historical, in that way, like play on history and how we tell ourselves these stories forever. And then it's like a different truth when you know the truth. It's pretty deep, but it actually relates to, I think, themes of this show a lot that we're doing here. But
the Stories We Tell. Where's it on?
Oh,
Wait, watch series.id.
sure, it's like on a freebie thing.
The
somewhere.
Stories We Tell. Yup, cool. Good to know.
It was
that was
really
just
good.
I was just
It's
curious.
very good. It's very, very
All right.
good. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, so is it about
Just got me
Canadians?
brownie points.
Well,
Where's
she's
your
Canadian and she's a
girlfriend?
Canadian icon in some sense. And her mother was also an actress in Canada. And she's a part of just like East Coast kind of. There's a lot of actors in the East Coast Canada compared to West. Oh, and nowadays lots in West Coast, but it was the National Film Board was mainly housed over there. And then there was a lot of like photographers and actors and productions and writers and artists, you know. So
Brutal.
brutal.
Yeah, man, we gotta make movies in Canada. We gotta make movies in Canada. That's the thing. So, but that is the
Cool.
Bring
that's-
it.
But so okay,
Okay,
I
Tom
know.
Green is really making it work.
Tom
He
Green's
took a
doing good.
photo. He took a photo on his Instagram with that Canadian guy from the Blues Brothers. What's that guy's name?
dude. Tom Green is kind of killing it. It's true.
Dan
Killing
Aykroyd?
it.
No.
He's so cool. Dan Aykroyd. Yeah. So he's going to be doing
Alright.
something. I know that he's interested in Bigfoot, and I know that Dan Aykroyd is as well. So it could be something with Bigfoot, but our version Sasquatch. I don't know. Yeah.
There's some Sasquatch in Alberta, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Tom
Oh,
there
yeah?
Green's doing weird things. Like he makes music that is
the
not
best.
terrible now.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
I
I've
always
never been
liked his
bad,
music.
anything
I've
bad.
had issues all my life. But okay, so but
I don't
Alberta's
like Tom Green. He's a little annoying, but
but this is something actually like in terms of the Sasquatch thing. I could
That's
talk
right
about
by
C11
Laundry
more,
right there,
but
that one, the one
Yeah.
where it's
oh yeah,
like circled
C11.
there.
I don't know anything about this C11.
That's Elbow River, not that one. Different
no,
one.
where? This guy?
There you go. That I actually hike around there with my dog all the time.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Dude, is
It's like
that-
a stump.
That looks like a log, but
I see his butt. I think or her butt. It could be
So-
their butt.
Looks like
Oh,
he's
yeah,
he's
look,
pulling
it's
up his
taller,
pants.
I think.
You never
than
know
what
in
they were
Canada the
showing. That's
gender,
just
but-
its leg.
Sasquatch.
Their butt.
Their butt.
But
God.
University of Alberta actually has a couple of professors that are trying to sue the Canadian government into putting Sasquatch on the endangered species list, and that they
Wow.
found a family of them in Canmore, Alberta,
Yes.
around the Three Sisters Valley. And there's a couple of documentaries I've seen on it that are just fascinating, and it's actually by
Yay.
the U of A.
I gotta
Wow.
wonder how many cryptids there are out there, and how many we don't hear about, but probably
you
more
say?
than we think.
Cryptids. Is that the cryptozoology? Cryptids?
Yeah, cryptid is just like one of those creatures that's not officially recognized as an animal, but that has legends about it and stuff. So you could go on like cryptid wiki and find like huge lists of all the cryptids from all over the earth.
I feel like some of these
He's
places
a
like
zoologist.
Sasquatch. There it is.
some of these places have really short people too. So I feel like a Sasquatch would stick out more. I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, it's white there. That's so cute. Yeti.
Yetis.
Yeah, well, the Yetis are
In the
the
snow.
Nordic big
That's so
feet.
cool.
Equivalent. But so
Oh, one second, I gotta
Sasquatch,
close my door.
you said it was in which
Water
valley? Which valley?
The Three Sisters Mountains behind that range is where they were.
Wow, let me pull this open. And so, I mean, this is a huge like wilderness. There's not a lot of people, or what?
Yeah, it's like a national park behind it and whatnot.
Okay, so that's another thing. So the Canadian government had a bunch of wildlife wilderness preserves that they were protecting, and then they gave to oil companies or something. Did you hear this? You know what I'm talking about? Like
I
the
did not.
Canada Wilderness Preserve sold. I don't know if that's the word or whatever. There was a whole thing that the government of Canada, like they got rid of a bunch of the, or maybe they or
Buddy, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I heard that that the Canadian government had a wilderness preserve rule for like 100 years, and then it got to like 2010, and then after 2010 it was unsure what they were going to do with the Wilderness Wildlife Act, and then there were a number of places that ended, like I don't know, but I don't have the date on it. So
We
this
have
is
another
also
cool
state.
Canadian, Farley Mowat.
Chris Farley?
Okay. Farley Mowat. He was an author.
In a
Farley
band
And
Mowat.
he's
down
a
by the
sweetie
river.
muffin, and he donated all his riches and money to basically converted all of his land to when he passed away.
There's a good picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he
That's
converted all his
amazing.
land into parks. So they couldn't do anything with it. They
Huh.
wanted to.
Look at that
Unless
Some
photo.
kind of parks or yeah, some sort of land reservation or something.
Nice.
Land
photo.
preserve or something. Yeah.
Oh man, how can I open this? Let me see. There's a way, because Vince, you just sent me something. I want to see it.
It's just Ellen Page in Trailer Park Boys.
Yes.
Ella Page, yeah, she's from there, right?
our national heroes, Bubbles.
So Ella
when
Page is
they
from
when they
Canada?
first came
Yeah,
to
she's from
town,
Nova
Yeah.
Scotia or something. Yeah.
when
Yeah,
they
Nova
first came to
Scotia.
town in Thunder
Or
Bay, when they
they
went on
are,
tour, when they went on tour for the first time, I got to go on stage and I got to act out a scene playing Cyrus. It was awesome.
Dude.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, you're in the making. We're gonna do the thing. It's gonna be like a cross between Degrassi and Trailer Park Boys and the Power Rangers, and that's how we're gonna win. You know what I'm
Minus
saying?
I have a question. Is,
Degrassi, yeah,
is
Batman.
Fubar Canadian? Because I feel like
Yeah.
So I think so.
There
yeah.
you go.
I mentioned it
What
before.
is-
No one heard me. Fubar.
Fubar is so good.
Fubar is like classic.
Alberta, yeah.
It's
so
Alberta.
good.
Okay,
Dude,
yeah, that's
fucking
dude, you gotta
terrible
stop putting
movie.
That's the
Canada
one.
Canadian.
Fucking
Man,
terrible
Tron
movie.
got me drunk so
Oh,
many
God.
times
That's the
underage
one.
at the
Like,
old
this is the
night
one to
gallery
watch.
bar here in Calgary. Let me tell you what, eh?
There's a
It's
Fubar
just
too,
I had a
dude,
poster
as
when I was
well.
younger.
This is what you get, Jordan. Now I'm gonna switch on the Canada button. So now
There you
everything
go.
goes through a Canada.
Oh wow.
Mel, have you seen the second one?
Uh-huh.
So you know the girlfriend Trish?
I don't remember her face.
Oh, okay. But when I was in
that poster.
I went to the Rex Jazz Bar downtown Toronto, and her band was playing. So I got to meet her and get her autograph and stuff. It was hilarious.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see Trish. Oh yeah, Trish. Yeah.
What is Fubar?
Trish at the West End.
Fubar is just a dog shit heavy metal movie about a
It's
bunch
so
of idiots.
good.
Yeah, it's good in that way, in that
It's
special way.
so
it's good in that
So
special
special.
way.
It's
It's
very
good in that
hockey.
special
It's
way.
where Giver
It's
comes
called
from. You give her, you
classic,
go
though.
out
I mean,
and you give
it's
her.
satire. It's satire.
Yeah, it's satire.
It's the Spinal Tap of Canada. Okay.
Yeah, and it's
pretty
better.
much,
It's
yeah.
better.
It's actually
in my
better
opinion.
than Spinal Tap.
I
I'd
agree.
have to say.
All right. Okay. And so I mean, there's two of them.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a newer one, and it's kind of more internet age kind of thing, and then
The
being
second
older.
one's still pretty good, but the first one on
Mhm.
its own is just amazing.
Yeah, the first one's like very much like perfect youth energy kind of thing,
Yeah,
and then
it's so good.
they're older in the second one, where it's more like
Fubar
here's
too.
our lives now.
Okay,
We're
James,
learning how to use the
Bob.
internet.
Got it. Yeah, I love these updates. I love the idea of an actor's life 30 years. Like, wow, they're doing the same character.
No, it's not like 30 years. It's like 10 maybe. If
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, just from like 30-year-olds to like 40-year-olds or whatever,
Okay. Yeah, that's not
kind
bad.
of ish.
Still with Sasquatch though. I mean, endangered
yeah.
species thing. I want to find the endangered species part. Let's see.
Wait, everyone, this is my Queen Anne's cup. Queen Anne's China. Look at the pattern for Queen Anne. Ooh.
Nice.
it's pretty nice.
This is my KitchenAid cup. It's KitchenAid.
Yeah.
Why?
You
That's
collect
what I do.
bone china from England.
If I type in what happened? Endangered species Saskatchewan. Sasquatch.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Sasquatch, and it was the University of Alberta out at Edmonton that had that going.
There's a few Bigfoot movies. Yeah, those are pretty good too.
Boom.
There's a great
Okay.
Tenacious D episode about Sasquatch.
Okay,
This is an
okay.
interesting idea,
Added
though.
into
I mean, a plea to save the Sasquatch. So, I mean, if you think about it, obviously, if there are any, it's a few. So endangered is probably the right way to go about it. Why would they not put it on the endangered species list? Just because they have to find one and know it's not extinct, or what?
I guess
You
so.
know, it depends, because it depends if they know that they exist and they're just trying to cover it up, or if they're waiting for some more, I guess, better confirmation. Because I have a feeling that this is one of those things that even if we did catch a Sasquatch, the government would just come in and be like, it would shake up too many things about our society and our civilization, and questions about evolution and our
Yeah, I just wonder
branching.
why, because we've seen like they're already openly admitting that there are like Gigantopithecus and all these other kinds of hominids that are bigger than us along the line that are simultaneous, and so the extinction would have happened while we were here, at least. Not
I think
necessarily
part
before
of it is there's an appeal to, I mean, there's a need to have us be interested in things that like they might know, but we can't really confirm. Like they could have told us that UFOs are real decades ago, but they're only recently starting to be like, oh yeah, it turns out it's been true all along. So probably we're gonna find at some point Bigfoot. We're gonna have people. We're gonna come out and be like, yeah, here I have a Bigfoot fucking specimen right here, and it's just gonna be another thing to use to manipulate us or distract us.
I mean, you'd think with all the trappers, I don't know, whatever, somebody would find something, but
I figure they do, and then the government just comes in and goes, "Hey, we're gonna go do secret research on it, and you won't know what it is." Like we'll be in like Canadian Area 51A.
I don't know.
You saw this, right? Like there's a whole
Well, there's
bunch
probably
of
a
people.
Canadian equivalent of Area 51 somewhere. I mean,
Yeah,
why would there be? A government needs to have a way to research things away from the people. There's no way around it.
Right.
Is
like,
is
what's
is
ours?
is the Q base in Canada not that anymore? Camp X.
Camp X. I don't know the
What
name.
are you saying? You're talking about
Camp X
Q,
sounds
and
like a
then you're talking
stand-in
about
name,
Camp
you know?
X, dude. What the fuck are you talking about?
Jordan, you know what I'm saying? There's a remote facility in Lake Ontario that was home to Canada's top spy school where Q from
Yeah, but why are you
James-
saying Q?
Because Q from James Bond, the Q lab at Camp X is where the tech came out of.
Okay.
Mm.
Ha ha! I wasn't wrong. Ha ha.
Well, your first buddy was talking about QAnon, and then you said Q.
Oh yeah, well relax, because it's the 17th letter. It comes up a lot, but no, it has nothing to do. Has nothing to do with that, and that's fair.
Yeah, turns out the real Q, like the one everyone's waiting for, is actually Q from James Bond.
I was thinking that until someone brought up that Q show on the radio, and now I think it. Melissa, maybe the Persian guy. What was his name?
Oh yeah,
Q show.
Gian Gameshi.
Gian, the Q show. Clearly, there's no way this isn't a psyop.
John Q, Denzel
Look at that.
Washington.
That we all know what that's about. Come on, that was part of the. Come on, definitely.
Wrist
Some,
cuff?
Nice.
Q is MI9.
Can I get a wrist cuff, please?
Probably have a people who work in the equivalent of CIA or MI6 working in our own media.
There
George
you go.
Stroumboulopoulos is probably like a Canadian
No.
secret agent.
He's a
MI5, MI6.
He's a
There's
jewel. I don't dislike George Stroumboulopoulos by any means.
Kind
Nine.
of George.
George Stroumboulopoulos, blah, blah.
So-
He's got quite the name.
Everybody knows about MI4, MI5, and then there's MI6, but there's also 7, MI8, MI9, and MI9 has to do with propaganda a lot of the time. So MI9, when you think about the people involved with Tavistock and with American media and Canadian media, MI9 tends to be. And Ian Fleming and Peter Fleming were both members of MI9. So that there's that. Then the idea of Q from James Bond, because the Q lab is the lab where they were building all the tech, and so you have a lot of the best engineering in the United States that was going on. They bring it across the sea over to Canada, and then the British have their own copy of it where they own 51%. And that's the beginning of the Camp X lab. But I don't know everything about the Camp X lab. I know we're trying to get Jordan, you know a guy. And so hopefully soon we'll have some.
Yeah. We're gonna get Lynn Phillip Hodgson on, so not to worry. That's gonna be covered when he comes on. So
Who's
any
that?
questions
Lynn
you have, you
Phillip
can ask
Hodgson.
him.
Yeah,
Who's that?
actually,
Look at dude, look at it says right there.
Oh.
Photo courtesy of Lynn Phillip Hodgson.
what?
Ooh.
That's
Boom.
insane. Right on the page we're looking at. Okay. That's crazy. So he's a Torontonian. When he was 13, is that how you say that? He was born in Pauline Park after his brother Lynn. He's in the military, best-selling author of Inside Camp X, successful businessman for 35 years, working for the John Mansville Corporation. What do you know about him? What's his deal?
Buddy, it's all right there. He's an author. He's probably the most knowledgeable author on Camp X. He's got the most books on Camp X. He got to go to Camp X for like an anniversary, and like the CIA, I think the CIA, or no, sorry, MI6 or someone brought him there with the James Bond car and a bunch of like special people, and he got to ride around in the car and stuff. And he just recently opened up a Camp X museum here in Toronto. So
Really?
I want to go check that out. But yeah, man, he's got a few other books. He's got a book on Kennedy. He's got some interesting stories, man. Not even just about Camp X, like just about like secret societies and intelligence agencies and the Kennedy shooting. Like he's got some interesting stories, man. Whoa, what is that?
He's a commemorative Camp X beer, bro.
Craft
Jesus.
beer,
Dude.
wow,
I would not drink that for money.
And it's got an X on it. I might have to get it. I don't
It's
know.
just like that.
Yeah,
That's
but
cool.
that's
Pentaltivate.
just
This
one of
brings
them.
us to Pentaltivate or whatever the heck.
That
that-
looks as
One of
good.
them
Oh, right,
looking,
Pentaverate.
one of them looking beers, not one of them drinking beers.
Well, I just wanted to let me just meditate on my mind a bit about Camp X. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I feel better. Pentaveret.
Sure, I have a joke for you guys.
Yeah, I'm in.
A Nazi, a Satanist, a pedophile, and a Scientologist walk into a bar. What do?
Start NASA.
Ah, he got it.
Oh no.
What else would they do?
Oh my god.
My mind went other places. No, I'm just joking.
No,
Oh,
that's
geez.
well, actually,
They are everywhere. Hi.
I'm just joking.
yeah. So, but the Pentaveret show. So you guys just finished it?
I
Mhm.
did,
I
yeah,
haven't
last
finished it
week.
yet. No.
Oh my God.
I'll have to give it a longer shot.
I was
Man,
trying
Too
to.
many little
Absolutely
petty
amazing.
jokes for my taste. You know.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's because it's
it
making
was-
fun of so many things. Like it's
Yeah.
making light of things that I researched for so long that like at some point I'm like, okay, I get it that it's not for me. Like it's good. Comedy's good lubricant to mind fuck people, but like
Yeah.
I don't
That's
need my
a-
I don't need my foot in the
definitely-
door. I've had my foot in the door like a long time ago. So.
that's exactly right. I think
Definitely
the show
puts
is.
us down on a lot of topics. It's definitely kind of given us a gut punch.
But it's funny because
Putting
Netflix would
Canada
have probably.
on the map, eh?
He wouldn't have gotten a
America's little
show.
subservient state.
He wouldn't have gotten a show if he didn't pretend to be a little bit like objective, but saying, "Hey, look at all these silly things going on." That's all I'm saying.
You can say the truth. You just have to make it so muddled and all this other stuff.
Right.
Like, but I heard a term. It's about balancing the Kool-Aid and the medicine. And so like he's putting a lot of Kool-Aid in this to make it more tolerable to swallow the truth pill that he's also putting in there.
I want to compare him to Stanley Kubrick.
The Kubrick stuff was pretty funny. Some of it.
Yeah, I think he was making the point that the show is a lot deeper than what is written. Whatever you
For
saw
sure.
written on the script, there's something else there. But
For
I was
sure.
going to ask Vince, what are some of the things like you saw that you've research delved into? You felt like he mocked that.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Well, of course, they
we just
have a
said
lot
as
of they just take a lot of like pee pee poo poo sort of like fart jokes and like
Right.
weird
Those
little
are all-
jokes that are
a
like
lot.
wordplay and like Jim and Mike Myers will
There's
look
no
directly at the
Sasquatch.
camera and like like it's these sort of things that like right there,
Oh,
for
it's-
example. And I
Yeah.
mean
This is
this is about
Sasquatch
this
and
is about
Pentaveret.
initiation rites, right? And so like they're there when you have Mike Myers do it, it takes the wind out of the sails of like people who are actually trying to look at this and take it seriously, because there are serious rituals, there are serious secret societies, and it's not all just jokes. But
He was promoting like journalism, I guess, a certain kind of journalism, which would
Yeah.
be like community journalism kind of thing.
He
sort
did.
of like
He
Canadian
did have.
down
Yeah.
to earth.
They do have Sasquatch on staff.
the down to
in
earth
Pentaveret.
guy.
Yeah. He
And-
poops everywhere.
And he goes to Croatia, and in Croatia they have a troll festival.
Yeah,
That
where
part was
Shrek comes
hilarious.
down.
right.
Actually,
Yeah.
Shrek.
There's got the Ogre Festival of Dubrovnik. I mean, this is I'm telling you what, this is some Kubrick level
Insulted.
depth right
It
here.
was
He's
awesome.
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
got to read between the
Sasquatch,
lines. You
Mike
know what I mean?
Myers has always been.
This is Ken Scarborough. Eh?
Right?
But he's always been meta. He's always had that sort of like insight into a deeper way of the world, and that's why he's succeeded so hard. It's just that I feel like
I don't know. I
look,
think
it's like when you have it's like messages inside of Plato's cave telling you to get out of the cave. Eventually people, they're just like, oh, it's just another thing on the wall that's like, distracting me, and it falls part of that illusion. Like the illusion, the lies that we're told are made of fragments of the truth, and Pentaveret has to play that game or else it would never ever get made. Just like
Right.
Inside Job, just like any of these other shows or movies that are talking about conspiracy theory or Area 51 or UFOs or any of this. You can have like, it's like X-Files. You can have 5% truth and then the rest is just like sleight of hand. Look at this
Well,
instead.
it was interesting to me that right as Pentaveret was coming out, there was this huge media push to cancel Netflix. And I was like, yeah, but who would have not canceled Netflix by now? You know what I mean? But at the same time, as they said, cancel Netflix, all of a sudden Pentaveret, Inside Job, a million German and Russian
Inside
shows
Job.
dubbed. Like there was this great show recently called Cleo on Netflix, and it's like an East German girl spy show, and it's dubbed. So if you're a dumb American who can't speak, who can't read while you watch TV, like
Sweet.
sometimes me in the middle of the
That's
night,
cool.
you could even watch that. And so
Look into that one, man. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I was like, wait, Netflix right now has all of these shows, The $1 Billion Code.
They have some good Danish and like
Yeah.
Swedish and stuff. Like they do if you look for it. Dude, $1 Billion Code is
Dude.
so good.
So key.
Oh, I'm
So
gonna-
good.
Okay, wait, yeah, please. I'm gonna add some stuff.
Billion Dollar Code's the one where it's a true story about the German company that in East Germany had gotten like Russian mob money to buy a Silicon Graphics integrated machine, which if you've gone on the rabbit hole of the SGI machine that made the Terminator 2 graphics, it's based on the Cray computer, which was built by women in Minnesota that like hand knit all the thousands of wires together so they could put the computer in liquid carbene resin solution for like liquid cooling.
Look that up.
Dude, the Cray computer, so crazy.
That's pretty crazy.
So cool.
The Cray computer is crazy. And this is what it looked like.
Okay, yeah.
Bro, this is the weirdest thing that ever existed. The Cray computer.
Yeah, Andreas,
I
just found Inside Job the other day, and that show's pretty hilarious too.
You recommend it, so that's why
Job is amazing.
Giving it the shot. But yeah, so they end up they designed Google Earth basically, and then Google steals their idea at Burning Man, and it's a hugely important show to watch.
So good, it's really good.
Inside Job the cartoon.
No, Billion Dollar Code, but Inside Job the cartoon is
Inside Job the cartoon. Yeah,
that's another show. It's a good show about.
It's a good show. It's just so oddly structured, man.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes
it's good for like 2 or 3 episodes at a time.
Yeah,
dude,
like
you know what? I feel bad saying it, but I liked Q Force. Have you seen Q Force?
No.
So LGBT
Queer Force.
LGBT
Queer Force.
Yeah, so it's all these secret agents, and they're all LGBTQ.
So they're all like really.
The whole thing is LGBT.
Look at it's Andreas right there.
It's pushing so hard. It's trying so hard.
Dude, but it was so weirdly dead on. Like, if you've ever dealt with the military and like some of the people that are like they're like really good at everything in the military, they just happen to be gay or something like that, and it puts them out
on true stories. You know?
And then exactly, because then you've got all of these dudes that are like, okay, well you're really well trained, but we can't have you. Someone asked and you told we're gonna put you in LA, West LA, and you know what? That's where the Russian mobsters go to the gay bars. So I mean, if you're gonna be a spy, these are the best spies you could possibly have, you know, and it's kind of like the underbelly of cabaret period 30s Germany, except it's 2022 in California. I don't know. So they had a good point there, I thought, but that was
you know, as long as they create good stuff, as long as they put passion in, you know.
I wouldn't say it's good exactly, but I like what they're doing to stereotypes all the time. You know, it's amazing because it's really they're breaking down their own identity.
Definitely exploring right now. There's a lot of like exploring using creativity going on. The queer
Nothing
space.
beats Archer for me.
Sorry, I think the best thing
Archer got fucking old pretty quick.
The best thing on Netflix, I think personally, is Dirk Gently.
Dirk Gently.
Oh, that's a great show.
Yeah, Dirk Gently is fucking amazing.
That
it was so good.
Did you see the BBC version of it?
I was surprised.
I haven't. I'd like to see it, but this one, I mean, it's.
I couldn't go back. So I feel like the thing is, once you've picked
probably
one
better.
version,
BBC is better. Sometimes.
You know what? For me, it is. I watched them both. I feel like if I'd seen if I'd seen the American one first, I would have liked it more first. The thing is, the American one is hyperactive. It's moving around fast.
Yeah.
And the BBC one's just more like chill. It's
more
great.
British.
Right. Well, it's very,
really
very
like
British.
the cast.
Right?
It's very British.
A little bit more teen trumpet.
But the thing is, what I like about the Netflix ones is that the series is like it's a perfect loop. So like the first season is just it's a perfect story that wraps itself up completely from like start to finish, and it has those insights into, I guess, the like how government would react with beings that are sort of weird, you know, like the real X-Men kind of thing, if there was such a thing, the real mutants where they have like secret facilities hiding people that have certain capabilities. Like the main character's power is essentially synchronicity. He's able to go into the flow of reality and just he's part of it. And it's one of the best things on Netflix, personally, my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though he's kind of a psychotic, manic anime character, but yes. That's why I say, like, if it's too hyperactive for you,
he's like the enthusiastic hero.
This is
like,
that Dirk Gently. This is if Vince was Dirk Gently, and he just like, you know what? I don't need a second coffee this morning. I'm just gonna think about things. I don't know. That's my thought. That's my pitch. Speaking of Britain, though, the Prime Minister, which is the title of all this for some reason, you saw this.
Trashed.
44 days in, the new prime minister quits after 6 weeks. 44 days. Wow, this is crazy. Are you kidding me?
Get out of there, Trust.
I think it's, you know,
nobody
like
likes you.
Once in a while, you just get a placeholder politician that's just like, okay, until we find a replacement, you're gonna be here, and then once they're done, they're done.
Yeah,
you know?
during wartime. I mean, it's pretty crazy. The Queen, the new king, There's this conservative prime minister, and her excuse for why she quit too. I wish I had the exact script here. I'm sorry, speech. But what she said was something to the effect of like, I can't do what I set out to do with the conservative government in this period right now. The amount of things that require we do the opposite of what conservatives want. We need to do all these liberal, fascist, socialist hegemony placements for the royal family. We have to make sure that we expand the royal family's interest in investment, all of the kinds of things to build capital in the state power, not in the populace. We're going to have to wait a generation on your temporary conservative, period, semi-conservative. And it's like, how friggin' do they do it? In America, you could never be that transparent. You could never just say, oh, you know what? As you know, your whole lifestyle and political ideology is a joke to us, and I'm a puppet. But so therefore, we were going to play along with you for like a couple of years. We're not going to do that now. We're canceling Batgirl. It's time to go full liberal fascist. How can you mean in America even we could almost get away with that?
Well, Biden kind of sort of hints at it here and there.
Just diddling the population.
Biden never said, well, I know I'm not your first choice, but I wish he would, but he's not saying that. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely. Most people wouldn't have voted.
The largest voting scam in history.
It's true. He did say that. That is objectively point out. But yeah.
Kevin Spacey won his civil suit.
Oh, that's true too.
Oh, yeah.
Let me meditate. Let me meditate for a second though on Liz Truss though. Do you guys have any? I mean, it's not a huge deal anymore because Canada doesn't feel like they're part of the Commonwealth.
What do you mean by meditate on it?
I don't know. I just want to sit and feel for a second. Do you guys think it just passes you by?
Liz Truss,
no, that's cool. I was just curious what you guys.
No, I already stopped and felt about it.
That's all.
Because do you guys have any thoughts about Britain? I mean, like it's clearly moving towards world power state with a king that wants to be authoritarian. It's not the little old lady's crown anymore, right?
Did he get new facial hair?
I hope he's the wedge that drives between Canada
like
and the monarchy, and we're free finally by the end of it.
I mean, yeah, that'd be neat.
We don't want to be diddled anymore.
It's true. I don't know how true it is in their like public school system, but in those private school system, they do have a whole.
Thing is, things never really fully change. They just corruption sophisticates. So like,
yeah,
you have someone. We're gonna have someone else who's gonna come in, and they're just gonna further the agenda. And we can pretend that it's individuals with their own personal values.
Looks like,
but ultimately, they're all puppets. They're all part of this game, and there's no way around it.
Right.
His facial hair show, his new one.
I don't know. What is the fish? Where do you see the King Charles with mutton chops?
I saw it like briefly on my Twitter, I think, but maybe it's not. It was from a different time, but I feel like he was old in the picture.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got some mutton chops. It happens to the best of us.
Charles,
I mean, I'm even thinking about it.
Facial hair. I'm gonna Google it.
If that comes up, the internet is more powerful than I realized. No, I don't think it's gonna do it. It won't. But okay, but that was fair to talk about. What's his name? Kevin Spacey. This is something that's kind of screwed up. So
I mean, he's such a powerful actor that he could get away with it.
I'm gonna find it.
Well, I don't know. So that's the thing. I only know the people who don't want to come forward.
He's mixed up with the royal family, man. So
right.
He was going for kids instead of like
Epstein.
See, if you look at a guy like Weinstein couldn't get away with it because he was doing it to adults, but Kevin Spacey was doing it to kids.
I believe Anthony. I look at Anthony's face, and don't get me wrong, he's been in a lot of isn't he Dr. Stamets on Star Trek and things like that?
Isn't he from Road Trip too?
He's in Road Trip. He's also in Rent.
I hated him in Road Trip though.
That's because he played a villain. That's
yeah. Like a really shitty villain.
That was a compliment just now. You basically just said, yeah, he did his job. But okay.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
But he was also he's the Jewish camera kid in Rent.
Yeah.
And he did an amazing job singing there too. So I don't know. Who cares? I'm just saying I can see his lifestyle. I can see his background. I can see of him saying he didn't want to be molested by Kevin Spacey. It seems like a reasonable. And why he would do this now, like why he would come forward about it or anything, I don't see why he would just make up this story. Of all people in Hollywood that make up stories, doesn't fit the profile to me. He seems
Isn't
like
that brutal though? Like coming out, exposing your trauma of being diddled, and then, oh, sorry, we don't believe you.
and that's
Yeah,
why
sorry,
that's
bud.
why that's why only Anthony Rapp would come forward. Like you see, all the people I know who won't come forward about Kevin Spacey and what he did to them. It's interesting that Anthony Rapp will, and it's because he's openly bisexual, I believe, right? Is that part of the thing? He's some sort of, let's be confirmed on that. I could be wrong, but I know he plays a gay doctor. It might not be that he is. Personal life, yeah, I'm gonna say probably he's gay, and so therefore
he's getting diddled right there.
But it's like he didn't
Wow.
choose.
But he's allowed. That's a happy diddling. That's
Yeah,
not a
exactly.
forced
You
diddling.
can't diddle
Right.
like that, Pharaoh.
No, so
stop diddling around.
I don't know if that's a technical term, but
Diddle
anyway,
your
Kevin
cousin.
Spacey did not molest Anthony Rapp, allegedly, according to the jury. And so I wonder about this. How did this work out? I mean, this, granted, America, and we just saw what they did to Alex Jones. So we know the state of the legal system right now. But a jury sided with Kevin Spacey on Thursday in one of the lawsuits that derailed the film star's career. Really interesting way to put it. Finding he did not
Just
sexually
got
abuse.
a super chat, Xirtus, with a question.
Oh, yeah? All right, let me see here.
I think he was like sort of suggestive. I thought more than
Well, he's
anything.
14, so I don't know. And
Yeah,
Stefan
he was
says,
isolating and suggestive or something.
I've heard some weirder things. That, anyway, Stefan Kalin in Central and South America, the only reason not to go with a pre-planned C-section, cesarean, is lack of access to resources or a homicidal bent to put a baby's life in peril and barbaric desire to mutilate genitalia. I don't know. To go with a pre-planned, to not go with, I get the feeling that it's actually the whole, talk to an OBGYN about that. That's not my, I don't really want to weigh in on cesareans, but from my understanding, better to avoid if possible, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
The House of Dragons, the queen dies because of a C-section.
Yeah, you know, and there's some things going on with that. I'm a C-section.
That's gotta
kid.
be
I was born that
real.
way.
Oh wow.
The verdict in this civil trial came with lightning speed. Jurors at a federal court at New York deliberated for a little more than an hour before deciding that Rapp hadn't proven his allegations. Okay, so very quick to decide. When the verdict is read, Spacey dropped his head, then hugged his lawyers. He didn't speak to the reporters as he left the courthouse. We're very grateful to the jury for seeing through these false allegations, his attorney, Jennifer Keller, said. What is next for Kevin Spacey is going to be proven that he's innocent of anything he's been accused of. Then there's
The usual suspects rock away.
That's the thing. Yeah, good call.
Yeah,
Kevin Spacey,
he's gone.
usual. And he just walks. Wow, that is exactly the walk away. You guys remember that movie?
Do you
Mhm.
recall? Do you recall his? At some point when he got all these accusations, he came out with the video of him saying like, "It wouldn't be the same without me, so you won't actually put me away." Like he was taunting them, going like,
Wow.
I'm too powerful for you to put away. You're gonna miss me, because I think he was like,
I didn't watch
you know,
House of Cards.
it's a
but
full swing House of
loved it.
Cards, so he was in character of House of Cards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People love that show. Like
I
people
mean-
who don't really watch TV would be like, "Oh,
This
I
looks
love that show."
evil.
It was weird to me because
Look
so
at
many
the
people,
top right
so many
photo.
people.
So many of his stuff, so many of his movies in
Mhm.
hindsight look so creepy. Like
I think that's
it's
why
a-
they like him because he's good at-
American Beauty,
that guy,
7.
you
You're
know.
just
Yeah,
like, holy
American
shit.
Beauty,
It's rough
right?
to watch now.
So good.
Where's the thing about his father? You know the whole thing. His father.
Whoa,
was,
what's the neo-Nazi claims?
Yeah, so I'm trying to find the picture of it. Kevin Spacey's father there is a picture. That was it right there. Hold on. This guy, Kevin Spacey's father, was a
Dude, bouncing around
Nazi.
too fast.
Sorry, I was trying to find the right picture. Kevin Spacey
Like-
denies sex abuse claims, says neo-Nazi dad kept him in the closet. Okay, Kevin Spacey, make the pictures go.
Oh, blaming his raping young boys on his father being a neo-Nazi, not allowing him to be gay. That's quite the excuse.
That's all
I'm
you
pretty
do
sure
it
his
for
dad was extremely
nerds.
abusive.
Oh, look at that picture. Go up, dude. You're skipping the best part here. Top,
Which one?
top. Look at him crying up there. Look at
Kevin Spacey breaks down and he testifies.
He's a
Yeah.
great actor. I'll give him
Looks
that.
like a mob boss.
Look at those stupid masks.
I'm sorry, I molested all
It's
of
the
those
masks that are the
boys.
worst part of all this.
Yeah,
Dude.
look how
Yeah,
stupid
I posted the video. It's called "Let Me Be Frank."
In the chat. Okay, hold on.
living. It's
Look
posted
at
by
this poor
Kevin
guy.
Spacey's
He's like,
YouTube
I got
channel.
raped and now I'm being accused of a liar.
Right.
Mhm. Hurt people, hurt people.
And this is the video he said about himself. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
like
He
this is
made a
after,
few- he
right
made a
after
few
he
of
got
these.
right after he got in trouble for his.
So we're not done, no matter what anyone says. And besides, I know what you want. You want me back.
What the heck? That's so creepy.
Fucking weird, man. This guy.
Man, and so then Rap says that he was so traumatized by the experience that he later found it difficult to watch some of Kevin Spacey's saucier movie roles. Okay.
Wow, it's like just don't watch any of his freaking roles.
Yeah, how about. But I mean, so Kevin Spacey, you know, the deal with his dad is interesting. Let me see if I can find that picture again. Kevin Spacey testified. Where's the picture? Where's the more about his dad, though? Because there's a lot there. Kevin Spacey's father.
There's a lot of really like graphic journalism during like the Me Too movement and this kind of stuff.
Thomas Jeffrey Fowler, known as the father of Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey, Thomas was an American writer and data consultant. As per source, he was a racist Nazi supporter. Thomas was married to
Does
Kathleen.
have the Adolf mustache.
Almost. I think he, you know, it's one of those things where he's got
Almost.
he's pushing it in to fill in the gap. Kathleen served as a private secretary at the Busch Gardens, Los Angeles, and Satsum Industries until her retirement in 1992. Besides that, she was a poet, musician, a longtime member of the Charles Dickens Society. So he's got this Mayflower stock on his mom's side. I don't know what the whole deal with his father is, but it does sound like he was in the computer, like the military computer data informatics sciences in the 60s, doing census work or programming. And then father to his 3 children. Thomas was father to 3 children. One of 2 are his sons. So, I mean, he raised these kids, treated them terribly. It could be that that's part of the deal, but I think it's bigger. It's saying that he comes from a stock that is protected. Almost killed because of inhuman, abusive, and racist behavior. He's almost killed by his son Randy because of his behavior. He's given the nickname the Creature because of his inhuman, abusive, and racist behavior. Raped his son more than 50 times by the age of 14, according to Randy. The abuse started at 6, and he was sexually assaulted at 14. With the cruelty reached its height, he took the gun from his father's closet and almost killed his father. So that's the brother of Kevin Spacey, Randy.
Wow.
Right.
Rod Stewart.
Yeah. So, I mean, so there's definitely a weird background, and it's hard for us to know exactly
This
what.
is like arc rub level
Randy
shit.
Fowler. Wow.
Yeah. What he's been through.
You know, it's he's fucked up, and he had a fucked up upbringing, and I'm sure he fucked up many people's lives as a result. But I don't know why we have to pretend that Kevin Spacey didn't do horrible things. You know, it's like
Exactly.
It's
Michael
one of those
Jackson is
situations
normal,
where we're just looking, turning the villain into a victim, and it changes the perception of the situation.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a smoke screen.
Yeah.
Villains are complex. It doesn't mean we should forgive them. It's just
Yo, Andreas, I gotta bounce, bro.
Yeah, bro. Well,
sorry, I got another show to do tonight. So
yeah, we're kind of at the end, anyways.
Well, Jordan,
we started really late, so
the Divulgence podcast. Yeah, we did do a 7:30. Let's see, Divulgence podcast, guys. Go
I had
do the
some
Divulgence.
stuff that I wanted to bring up, but I'm gonna save it for next week, and we'll see if we can get Lynn on the show next week. Dude, that's not, you always pick that one up. That's not me.
I don't know why that happens. Divulge, and it has less followers than you too.
We're advertising.
The Divulgence podcast, the real one, right here.
There you go.
Click up on this guy here, and
I don't know why the
like
new
and
video.
subscribe.
There's a new episode out. I don't know why it's not popping up, but
Make sure it's not unlisted. Could be. But yeah, check out Jordan and subscribe. Thank you for being here, Jordan. We'll see you next week, and we'll cover some more stuff.
Yeah, man. We'll see you guys next week. Bernie, Melissa, Vince. It's great to see you guys. Andreas,
Always
my
a pleasure.
brother. We'll talk soon.
Always a pleasure.
Word.
All right,
care.
boys. You guys take care, and just give her and
Go
go
for a
there,
rip,
bud.
buddy.
Oh, there, bud. Take her east. Take her east.
Was there more you want to say about Kevin Spacey? I thought there was a.
He's a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bye.
All right. Alien
How many
abductions,
actors?
RCMP.
That is less creepy than Kevin Spacey. That's all I have to say.
Did we do this one? I was going to cover this one. I thought it was important. Aliens are coming. Alberta RCMP 911 911 dispatchers fielding calls about UFO sightings. So there's a number of calls, over almost 1 million calls last year, and
Wow.
At least they
Oh,
tend to
God,
stand
dude.
out in the minds of 160 dispatchers. There were definitely some themes about unusual UFO sightings and satellites, said Tracy Duvall. We were getting a lot of calls with the SpaceX satellite launches. There's a very quick pattern in the sky. They're not hitting the ground.
My mom actually, the two tenants living below her, they like were tripping out. They're like, oh my God, there's like the first time they saw this the SpaceX like stream of satellites, they like called my mom out and they're like, they're invading, the aliens are invading. And then like my mom had to send me like a picture and I'm like, Mom, that's just Elon. Don't worry about it.
Dang. Well, that's interesting. So maybe there are some people that just think it's the SpaceX. But you think SpaceX could be a cover for other things? Like, hey, don't worry, there's things going on. We get the whole thing, so just relax.
I mean, it looks pretty iconic. It's like a chain in the sky, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like a chain of them. So
Yeah,
it's
like a chain of lights.
intense.
Where's like if I type in
where
train,
is that? SpaceX satellite
Boom.
train. Yeah.
Yeah, that would freak me out if I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah.
Right,
I think I
exactly.
remember seeing it like really close. Yeah, I don't know. I just was out for a walk and immediately your eye goes up to it, like what the hell is that?
Word. Well, okay. I mean, Vince, is there anything you want to cover for Montreal? And then Bernie, do you have anything else that you want to cover?
I'll let Vince go first.
Well, not much. I've seen a handful of UFOs around here, but for the most part, most people don't look up enough to actually notice them.
Dude, Montreal UFOs.
We did have a few UFOs apparently hanging around a little while back, and I mean, people just go on with their day. What can we say?
Look at that lunar alignment there too.
Right.
Cloud technology,
in
man.
Montreal, you need during the next like major like thunderstorm or like weather event. There's like that. Yeah, see that cloud? Apparently, it's by the like old Starfort or like hotel area, or is that in
The old
Montreal?
port, maybe?
Or am I thinking of Quebec City?
I'm not sure, but
But like the ancient architecture there, supposedly there's some weather disturbances of footage that's been caught above it a bunch.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. We got a lot of weird shit.
I like the idea of orbs in clouds because you can use a cloud to have this vapor that hides whatever's in it, and
Yeah.
it can be moving around.
If you can develop interstellar travel, you can develop cloud camouflage technology. It's not that hard.
Cloud jumping, that'd be a thing to do.
Honestly, you just need to turn out your lights at night and no one will notice. Like if you're a UFO, you just need to turn out the lights. That's it.
Right? Yeah, it's it's light pollution problem. That's really it's not UFOs.
Oh
that we
yeah,
worry about.
that's a major problem. But it's also everyone's glued to their phones all the time, so like people don't look up that much.
Dude, there's some weird stuff in Montreal. What the heck? I'm gonna go back. Wow, it's going away. Montreal UFO. I just saw some weird orb-looking light thing. The heck is that? Right? Dang.
It looks like something falling.
Well, this one time I was taking pictures of the sun, and I saw a UFO. I think I said this last time. Actually, it looked exactly like the Star Trek Enterprise, and then like it was right in my camera. Like it was like in the sun, and then when I like looked away and like just waited 15 minutes, like it turned into a cloud and just drifted away from the sun. I was like, very detailed at first. I was like, that's odd.
I don't think I go in nature enough.
Yeah, well, right now I'm living in the mountains, so like I get a lot of the sky and a lot of stars, not much light pollution.
That's legit.
Yeah, there's certain spots. Tom Green was talking about this just on a random stream that there's like spots that have clear sky. I don't know. It was really interesting because he bought his property, he was saying, like in an area like that. And it's like, I don't know why. It's not elevation. It's just clarity of
Found
sky
them on the
or
internet.
something.
Dude, remember that time he met the Rael guy who did the cloning thing? He brought the Rael clone guys in.
Oh yeah,
that's so because the Raelians, they have like the weird swastika symbol, and they worked with the Clone Eve program to do human cloning. And
absolute madness.
This interview was right around the time that they announced that they had like living clones when they announced Eve.
Yeah, they have a compound in Quebec.
Dude.
Was it your show, Xirtus, that you guys were talking about that geniuses sperm plant or something? Like, so basically there's a sperm bank that was only for geniuses to give their sperm.
Oh, I can make some money.
No, it was like famous people, like
depends if you're
really
vaccinated.
intelligent. people or whatever, and then it shut down. And I feel like I was on your show. I was watching. I don't know.
I know I've seen so many crazy. I remember.
Yeah,
I used
and I
to
was
get
like, what
ads
happened to all
for
those
that.
children? Like, that's the question.
I used to get ads for those things in Silicon Valley all the time. They're like, hey, Facebook Market would try to
No.
like lure me in. But the thing is, then
No.
you find out that a lot of the time the doctors were just replacing. Not every time. I don't want to get in trouble.
There was that
but
one time they replaced.
there's at least that
Yeah,
one time.
and that guy has,
there's
like,
a
a couple
lot more
hundred
than
kids.
that one time. There's a lot of times where the doctor's the dad,
What?
or worse, where they're picking people from like inner cities and trading them in order, and the moms are like upset because they're like, I wanted this like 6 foot tall Nordic person, and instead I have a black child. It's like, oh well, too bad, because you live in America and that's the way it is. It's like, well, that's fine, I guess, but these are a lot of time you can't trust sperm banks. Not everyone.
Yeah, was that a trend? That might have been a trend for like 10, 20 years there.
Doctors messing with sperm banks or sperm banks themselves?
Sperm banks in general, kind of people using that as a way.
Yeah, I think
instead of finding their own donor kind of thing.
I feel like Tinder and stuff is probably going to replace sperm banks. There's going to be like, what's that movie?
And maybe it's expensive to store that stuff, so maybe that's why sometimes the doctors do that too, but they just don't say.
Dude, in Logan's Run, they just literally have this app that they meet each other with. It just puts you in each other's house, and then it's just like the entire humanity of the
They need
situation
that.
is taken
Come
away, which is very similar to what they're trying to do with
They should just
clinical
do this.
medicine.
Brave
Yeah.
New World ish.
They're wasting
Yeah.
everybody's lives. We have such short lives, and they're wasting them.
Dude, Flintstones meets the
proper
Jetstones.
Spend all your time fucking strangers, bro.
Yeah, it's just ruining people's lives.
We need the live action Flintstones meet the Jetsons. I think that's the Brave New World for me. Bernie,
Yeah, so cute.
what did you, Bernie? You
Oh,
had
God.
you had some things.
I posted the link in the chat there of the video. It's myself, alien scientist, and
cool.
Jeremiah Pop. The star in a jar. It's real cold fusion. I got Jeremiah to be able to reproduce this, and if you go to like 17 or 18 minutes in, it should start reacting. But it's actual cold fusion done by Jeremiah. And where see the orange here, that's just normal electrolysis where it'll be producing hydrogen. And then as it starts heating up, it actually starts transmutating the hydrogen into helium. And it's this blue-purple plasma. I guess you'll probably have to fast forward a little bit further ahead for where it starts going to purple. Yeah, right there a little bit. It's only he needs to get a variac to keep the reaction going steadily, but you'll see it as he touches it that there's like no, it's right in that part. Yeah, right there. When he keeps putting down the pliers on it, momentarily it'll turn to this white blue. Yeah, right there. There
Wow.
you go. Well, that white purpley blue. So as soon as he gets a variac hooked up to it, it'll be stably producing that reaction, transmuting hydrogen to helium, which is said to be impossible, yet here we have it, and we're doing it in our own lab. So it's pretty awesome.
Dude, Jeremiah's amazing. And then also Jeremy, alien scientist. Jeremy's on tonight, Darth Call. So if you guys, after this, if you want to see Better Call Call's episode, that's live right now. Let's just there he is right there. Look at that.
Aw.
Right there.
Shout out. Hey,
Okay, let's watch this on your podcast.
Right,
I know.
what is it?
Right.
I'm gonna
Exactly.
do a reaction
Shout out.
of this podcast on my podcast.
Oh my
right
god.
now. Okay, let's just do that.
What's that in Twitter where Twitch where everyone jumps
MIT at that point in time.
the other show?
No, BC probably, the invention of fire.
raid?
So maybe, candle making. If you combine those things, maybe you could get a paper lantern in about 0 BC. If I could see
Boring.
like paper lanterns that maybe sky lanterns. You know what I mean? The sky
Mhm.
lanterns that float.
For sure, yeah.
But-
But that's a far cry from what is it? St. Paul getting blasted in the eyes, going blind, and getting a particular message in his mind saying, "Yo, stop screwing around with my people," and him turning around and being like, "Oh, God spoke to me and blinded me for a couple of days, so I'm actually gonna,
Doug for the win.
Yo, we got
Wow.
Andreas Xirtus in chat. What's up, Andreas? How
What's
you
up,
doing?
bro? How's it
He's
going?
gonna do a reaction to this podcast on his podcast right now.
Reaction to
Please
the
do.
podcast.
Please do. Hell yeah.
Podcast
Andreas,
metaverse.
great to have you.
Bro,
here
this
as
is
always.
meta
Hell
as
yeah.
fuck.
This is the
Hello.
crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say, hey, what's up to the rest of chat? I know I haven't been reading a lot of chat's messages,
yeah.
but I see you, chat. I'm sorry. It's just
All right.
That's
All
fine.
right. I feel good. I just want to
There
make
we
sure that
go.
we got that was the coolest thing
Accomplished.
of the day. Yeah, that's
pretty
great.
fun.
But I mean, so yeah, that's amazing, Bernie. We should be doing something soon on the science thing. We should do something, get something together with Jeremy and Jeremiah.
100%.
Yeah.
I'll message you maybe even if you're available tomorrow night. I'll be doing a stream with Jeremiah and Jeremy there, and then this Saturday is our APEC, the American Anti-Gravity Propulsion Conference.
Wow. Okay.
And I've got my own cold fusion segment in the conference each week, so it'll be live on my channel and on Jeremy's. Yeah. And see, that's another part here with that reaction, all that steam coming off of it. And from the amount of electricity that was going into this reaction, it seems like it's over unity. Like it should not be heating the water that quickly and producing that much steam like that too.
That's incredible.
What does it do? Sorry, I'm so bad at chemistry.
So if we're separating this part's just like heating the water and separating the water into oxygen and hydrogen, and then when the sustained blue purple plasma reaction happens, then it's actually transmuting the hydrogen into helium, which is actual nuclear fusion. And I've seen this experiment several times over the last decade, but I didn't want to run it myself in my own house because there's actual radiation that's coming off of this, because it is actual nuclear fusion. And Bob Greenier talks about it a lot with us as well. If you don't know him, is
he wearing a suit or something? Like, what is he doing for safety?
Sorry?
PPE. What's his PPE in this video?
PPE?
Safety equipment.
Oh God.
Personal protective wear.
Jeremiah takes his own risks. I do not recommend trying this experiment at home. I was like, as soon as I showed Bob Greenier, like the academic, this, he's like, oh my God, what the hell is Jeremiah doing? Like, you got to be careful. He's going to die. And I was like,
he's got a chemistry death wish a little bit there. But
Jeremiah does live on the edge, but yeah, we got to get him some lead. Poor guy.
Yeah, exactly. Get him a lead vest for the running the one.
Give him some lead isotoners for his hands, because he really likes to really grab that. I can tell he wants to be Dr. Manhattan. That's not how you get Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah,
right.
He's gonna be Curie instead.
Dude. Yeah, he'll be the next Martin Fleischmann. Yeah.
Did you guys see the new Watchmen show that's out right now?
I was a little too my purist geek side was too off put by it.
I did that first too, Vince. I'm really right there with you. And what I lucked out on, by the way, is when I went to watch series, I found, and you can get the comic book motion comic book. So if you haven't read the comic book yet, or you got a lover who hasn't read the comic book, make them watch the Watchmen motion graphic comic book, because that is the way to get the actual comic book. However, my friend showed me a bit of, Eddie on Think Tank was talking a bit about the Watchmen, and I didn't really get it at first, but he's like, no. They're using this material because they have to. That's the name of the show. That's what we're doing here. That's where the money's coming from. Get over it. But beyond that, the stuff they're putting in the show, but isn't about the Watchmen necessarily. For instance, the Tulsa massacre.
A lot of racial exposure of the past racism and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's the thing. They took Watchmen and then they made it all about, identity politics and the history of these things. And, these stories are important and they're fine. It's just
not the Watchmen.
Doesn't need to be Watchmen. It's like, it's just kind of cheap. It's cheap.
But I wonder where are we going to get our story about the Tulsa massacres, where they bombed Tulsa to kill all the rich black families that own businesses?
I think that there's plenty of very talented and competent writers who are African American or who have such like understanding of these historical events that they can come up with stories without having to piggyback off of like legends like Alan Moore. Like it doesn't. It's not good from a a mythological structural point of view for our civilization, because it divides more than it actually informs, and more than it actually makes people give a shit about these things, you know.
So this is the C11 CBC argument. So in other words, like, I would be more likely to watch a movie about the Tulsa riots than about the Watchmen, for the same reason Vince is skeptical of a movie about a comic book. I like the comic book. I'm scared they're going to not do it right. Having said that, a movie about the Tulsa riots would be really interesting to me. Vince, maybe you too. But a lot of people, do you think the majority of America, the world, wants to watch the movie, like the historical drama of the Tulsa riots, more like Titanic, more than they do want to watch the comic book?
I'm not talking about making a historical drama out of it. You can spice things up. You can make it a story about the haunting that carries the people through these, like with these events, you know.
Black Panther in the Tulsa riots.
Because I mean that's what the entire point is in the first place. It's to be able to talk about these things that have been haunting us for so long. And I feel like it's just not the right way to do it, to take another story or to take something existing and then make it about that. And I think it's just missing the point of proper storytelling and that importance. You know, we're going like, well, the message is more important than the story, therefore shut up about the fact that it's not the story anymore.
It's not the story, it's the
burning the Negro out of Tulsa.
Right. And this is what they used to call the Tulsa massacre.
Horrible.
Yeah. And it's crazy because they had planes and they flew over it and they dropped bombs on the Black Wall Street, because they knew that the only way to stop these people from collecting and centralizing their own wealth and having their own economy, which they were also, a lot of them were Afro-Caribbean family members. So they were able to have an international presence of trade. Yeah. I mean, this was designed to completely destroy an independent new wealth center in America.
Super important story to tell, you know. Like I just watched
it's a cool enough story to tell, you know, like the details of something like that.
I just watched
sorry,
Vince.
I'm trying to
No, it's fine. I'm trying to think of the name. Amsterdam.
I'm
Amsterdam.
I know. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Oh no, I'm sorry.
Sorry, bud. Bud. Yeah.
So I watched the movie Amsterdam, and it's an interesting retelling of these sort of, not that movie. No, that's not the one. No, Amsterdam.
This one?
No, 2020. Just right, 2022.
I do never watch these serious movies like this ever.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a retelling from World War I, and
cool.
it's about these two soldiers who got decimated, like they're basically, you know, all bloodied up, full of scars. And so one of them, he's a doctor. The Christian Bale character is a doctor. Anyways, and it's a story about how the Nazi Party was trying to spread influence and start fascist regimes across the world, and they were trying to use one of the former generals to become the new Führer of America, to follow Mussolini's example of a proper government and what they deem to be proper, you know. But it's an interesting retelling because, of course, there's creative liberties and all that, but at the same time, you're able to talk about some things that a lot of people will never have heard about. Like, you don't hear many stories about World War I these days that people really give a shit about. But if you take them and you make them unique or, you know, interesting, you don't have to replace an existing story just to tell it. Just have its own. Plus, Mike Myers is in this.
Oh, really?
Everyone's in this.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Alan Moore has actually disavowed the new Watchmen show.
Right. And there's an interesting thing. Not only is he less fond of the new Watchmen now and still doesn't watch adaptations, but isn't he back? Isn't he doing something now? I know that he does private writer classes and he's a wizard. So I don't know what
he does. He does a whole bunch of things. Well, apparently he was a student of one of the big dogs, like Crowley or something.
Right. Yeah.
So,
or something.
He does. I just saw his masterclass today, advertised to me. That's
This guy's a self-proclaimed master.
I was almost gonna
master wizard.
Get it. I'm like, I don't even know what this is.
I'm personally, I prefer Grant Morrison and Neil Gaiman personally. Those are my top two, but Alan Moore he's sort of like legendary status. It's beyond. Grant Morrison's a very, very Scottish, I think, fellow who is
Neil Gaiman, I love sometimes. I
Neil
used to
Gaiman.
love him. I used to love him more after
Okay.
the Netflix adaptation. I guess I respect it. I respect that he's willing. He's like, you know what? We're gonna live in this world. I don't know what
Yeah,
else.
look, there's compromise. There was compromise that was made, but Neil Gaiman is always going to be my top writer. Like, I mean, he's
Right.
been influencing me for as long as I can remember. Even before I realized it, he was always there. So
Just an obligatory shot of Joss Whedon after you said that because Shakespeare. No, I feel okay. I'm sorry.
well, the main thing I like from Josh Whedon is Cabin in the Woods. That was the best thing he's ever made, I think.
People tell me that Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't the best written show of all time, and I'll tell you you're wrong. And I know people are like, "Oh, dude, every time you have to talk about Buffy," but no, like
The thing is, no, but it's good. It's just
he
that
wrote Buffy?
it suffers
Still
it
love the
suffers
show.
from the structure of television. That's the problem with Buffy.
that was
but
that's what I'm trying to argue. Like
it's still
the
a great
Shakespearean
show.
if Shakespeare didn't have to write in English, it would have been better. Sure. Okay. So if Buffy didn't have to be a TV show, sure. But the thing is, every day Degrassi lost ratings and Buffy went up, and they're like, why is this working? And they're like, because it's Shakespeare. It is literally the kind of show.
It's Shakespeare, but it's also got that sort of supernatural
Buffy
twist.
The
You know,
Vampire Slayer is Shakespeare.
I think
The pros of Valley Girl that Joss Whedon uses in the show, the kinds of lines that he creates, the kind of words that no person really would say, but represent the Valley Girl. It's kind of the way Shakespeareans don't really talk that way.
I've heard that
I
Josh
referred-
Whedon's main thing is that he just wants to sound clever no matter what. It doesn't matter if it's important to the story. It just sound clever.
Right.
I worked for this like independent video store or DVD store, but you know those things. And they used to have like a watch party and like a private membership so that you could kind of come and drink and hang out. And it was like a huge watch party of Buffy, like all ages. Like, it was pretty cool.
But you know, Buffy is. I think it resonates.
Cable.
Right. You didn't get sucked in.
I didn't have cable either. So that's the other reason I got sucked into Buffy, was because I had turned my television into an antenna using the metal in the walls, using an electric plug. There's like a hack you could do. And I could get the WB channel in the evening time when everything started to calm down in the day. And all of a sudden I could get about 2 hours to 4 hours. I could get Buffy and Dawson and it would be done. And that was for a couple, it was a window into the world. I didn't do Dawson. I didn't like that because there's not enough vampires. You know what I mean?
I'm currently working on a
Not
podcast,
believable.
or I'm currently working on a YouTube video, and I'm making actually a painting of Dracula. That,
wow, that's
it's just
amazing.
starting, but
That's
like
pretty badass.
it's just starting. It's going to be much bigger than this. I mean, much more complex, but yeah. So I've been doing it for a while, and if you'd like to talk Buffy, because I want to talk about like a bunch of different things, and I'm just going to combine it all into like a fast-paced video of the progress of the painting. So if you want to talk Buffy the Vampire Slayer and like the archetypes of that show,
True Blood.
I'm totally down.
Dude, but the thing I like about Buffy, one of the things is it's a philosophy, it's Jungian archetypes. So all the kids are going through their own personal demons, you know what I mean? And each demon is a personification of a demon that they're going through a Gestalt psychology process of fighting off of their own interpersonal problems. And the interpersonal problems are bled into what that demon is every episode, because it really brings out their own personal problems.
Yeah.
And
that's why Buffy worked. I think it's because it actually had that sort of resonance. It was like mythological representations of real adolescent problems. And I think that's why kids sort of identify with vampires so much. It represents all the things that they're told to repress all the time. And so they just fall into it.
I don't think there's a
the
Dawson's Creek philosophy book.
Like I can do the face.
It probably is.
I guess the beginning of it. No, this is not quite the same. But but Buffy
Dawson's
philosophy
Creek,
is taught at
Dawson's Creek
UCC.
is shallow. So
But Buffy philosophy is actually taught in university.
I've read Matrix and philosophy, but
So I mean, there's got to be something to it there. I mean, the other thing about Buffy is that the entire show has to do with your evil is, around you. The demons aren't that bad. Like by the third episode, you meet a mom who was skinny in high school and she's jealous of her daughter who's eating too much chocolate because she could be a cheerleader. So the mom takes the body of the daughter and locks her up. And you realize, wow, the humans are far more evil in this world.
Right. Well, it's they're above they're above the Hellmouth, right? And the Hellmouth kind of unleashes this sort of like demonic and energy that is contained within humans. That like they form They
I
form
didn't
side by
I didn't
side,
understand
yeah.
how. That's the other thing. As from Santa Cruz, and so Buffy, the college, even Stevenson, and all the name the people who went and to UCSC, University of California Santa Cruz, wrote Buffy. So when they go to a street, it's named after a Santa Cruz street, and when they go to a college class, it's named after a college. That's the college university classes. The name Stevenson or College 9, always the same names. So for me, it took a while to realize the rest of the world wasn't a hellmouth, right? But it is. So it's interesting. A lot of people, I guess Dawson's Creek makes more sense if you didn't live on a hellmouth, but that's got to be a rarer occurrence, I would think.
Yeah, but the thing is that most of these shows were made by companies that work above hellmouths. So, like most of Hollywood is probably, look, let's be fair.
Hollywood is definitely built on a hellmouth.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
so
sure.
explain the hellmouth thing, because I was working in a women's building for a long time, and this girl I worked with made that joke. She's like, this building is like, this is the hellmouth. And I didn't know what she was talking about, but I still thought it was funny. And my question is, what is a hellmouth? Is it a portal?
It's like, well, in Buffy, it's a portal to hell, but
it's in the show. Okay.
Yeah. But based on real mythology,
Right.
you can think of it as just like, it's a vortex of negative energy that sometimes sometimes you can walk into a certain place, like a building or a certain part of a forest or a dark alley or something, and you're just like, right here is like where all of human evil could emerge out of nowhere. And
the evil thing. I don't have that energetic
Sunnydale is based on Sunnyvale in California, which is next to Santa Cruz, and it's where the San Andreas fault line is, and the idea that where fault lines and earthquakes are. And it's also filmed a lot in San Luis Obispo and places where they found this underground church that had been buried in an earthquake 300 years earlier, or maybe mud flood. But the idea of mud flood. But the idea of there being hell mouths, it's kind of a Saxon middle-aged thing that you can skip the rings of hell. There's ways that are into the labyrinth, in and out, but so can demons. So demons pour in and out of the hell mouth. And there are, there are examples of, you don't want to go into a hell mouth, right? But you could go in. So LA used to be one that you could only go in. And then there's a ritual that took place on the Hollywood Hill, where the Hollywood Boulevard sign is now, which is designed to pour out, which is why Hollywood was inverted in order to be used as a telepathy tower, a broadcasting center. And that's where media. Yeah.
Are there other examples of hellmouths in Europe or something? I don't know.
Yes, there's supposed to be. Okay, so you should talk about hellmouths in Spain. And there's one.
Yeah,
in Russia.
Where's another kind of super famous one?
There's probably
is there a Canadian? I know where it is.
The suicide forest in Japan.
Yeah,
suicide forest in Japan, maybe.
Yeah, Victoria and Albert Museum. I don't know. We'd have to look into it.
It can be considered places of severe haunting as well. It's just it depends how we're to frame the concept of the hellmouth. I mean, probably people can be hellmouths too.
That's true. I don't know.
No.
Well, we'll have to dig in deeper. I'll look at that.
I view certain artists as essentially hellmouths because of what they create. They're mediums channeling hell, essentially. And there's plenty of examples for this.
Mediums, yeah.
I mean,
artists, mediums.
Well, no, there is like a whole thing.
So above the Hollywood Tower, there's a tower right above the sign, right on top of the hill, in order for broadcasting. So there's a lot of connections there with the idea of media, creativity, being a medium, and the hellmouth for sure. It's also why Hollywood's so terrifying, and why you need to like kill an animal and wear its leather on your foot just to cross its land. It's just dangerous. You know what I mean? Magically speaking. But yeah, that's Hollywood. This is MK Ultra. I gave Bernie, I'm going to show Bernie's channel again, just because it's an important thing. Guys, go to Bernie's channel and make sure you watch this new video. Where's that at?
Cool background, Bernie.
Alchemist. Hold on. The Crypto Alchemist on YouTube. Is this the main channel to find the new video, or is it?
Yes, sir. That's the main one. Although the video that I showed you, that was actually on Charlie C's channel. I'm going to be streaming it to mine again because it was the Star in a Jar. It evolved over 3 different episodes, and then the one that you showed was one that had all of the 3 put together.
Right. Okay, I'll find that. And then Mid Journey. Where's the Mid Trip?
A Mid Trip. Yeah, well, you can find that on Facebook. There, you're gonna find my art page, but you can also find me on YouTube. I have a couple of songs on YouTube. But
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to be making a YouTube channel. That's what I'm doing with the painting currently. So
What's your YouTube channel?
Right now, you can find Vince SC. There's a couple of songs on there, but I'm gonna make a channel, and the working title so far is Burning Sage.
Legit. All right, I can't wait to see that. Melissa, do you want Discord link or anything you want to shout to?
Discord link, everyone. Put it in the chat.
Hey, go to the Discord. If you go to tartarynova.com, it wants to make me log into my own thing and make a new account. But if you go to the Discord at the top of tartarynova.com, and you can find your way there. And there's the MK Canada page as well. And in there you can find Melissa. So
I'm there. I'll come talk to you because I'm bored all day. Yay.
Oh, Melissa, you're such a sweetheart of a Canadian.
Get on the Discord, I got so much free time.
Yeah, I mean, and guys, drop stuff in the Discord. Anything you want us to deep dive into. We're going to do something about Camp X pretty soon. I think next week. Hopefully, if our buddy, I forget his name, is feeling better, the doctor who wrote the book on Camp X, because he was feeling a bit sick, but Jordan's going to bring him. And yeah, all right, we'll see you guys next time.
That was great.
Also, we gotta go into monoatomic gold at some point.
Oh yeah.
And I will teach you how to make that.
Bernie, get up in the Discord too, so we can make sure we connect with Jeremy.
Figure out how to use Discord. I've got a page and an account, but I gotta figure it out.
Just get on your phone, click on tartarynova.com. If you go to tartarynova.com and click Discord, it's like it just rolls you in. Should be easy. Yeah,
perfect.
All right, peace out.
Canada is a country. Waves of people came to this country, were welcomed by the folks who have lived here for millennia, the First Nation. And built this society with waves of people fleeing religious persecution, fleeing tyranny, fleeing to try and build a better life for themselves here than they had back home. Whether it's folks fleeing from world wars or fleeing from civil wars, these people always want the same thing: to be able to live in peace, to raise their families, to create a better future for themselves and their communities. And that is what generations created this extraordinary diverse society we have. Now, Canada remains one of the only countries in the world where citizens are, by and large, positively inclined. And one of the reasons we are that way is because Canadians have confidence in our